subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
When Hongchen heard the words, the corners of his mouth twitched, and he couldn't help but sneered, and then changed the subject. How Ian Spear's spirit? You haven't told me the rank of this white dragon spear. But no, how Ian just introduced him to him, and didn't tell him what rank he was. Because the dragon soul is weak, it has now regressed to the top grade, but you don't have to worry, it can grow. Oh, it turned out to be a growthable weapon. That's not bad. What are the conditions for growth? Yi Hongchen waved the white dragon spear, very satisfied. Although it is only a local product, this growth has already surprised him. You must know that there are only 2 growth weapons in the Palace of Great Dust. One was a sword that his chief father could hide to death, and the other was held by the Supreme Elder of Juechen Palace. As for the weapon, Yi Hongchen didn't know. What Yi Hongchen didn't know was that the Star Sword was also a growthable weapon. It's up to you to understand it. After all, if I tell you directly, your path will be extremely smooth in the future. How Ian suddenly straightened his face and said seriously. After speaking, Phantom's body suddenly turned into white light and got into the white dragon spear in Yi Hongchen's hand. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchen curled his lips slightly but did not inquire again. In front of him, a golden light group appeared, which seemed to be the door of this golden hall. This opportunity is really small. Yi Hongchen shook his head slightly, did not continue to say anything, and walked directly into the golden light group. Chapter 0166. Oh, it's so lively, the 6th area. Hurry up. Hit him. You have to use weapons to fight an angry state? Don't persuade you. What are you doing in a daze? Come on. Isn't it just a state of anger? No, I have to breathe out. Outside by Ling's cold fire, the crowd gathered at this moment, and there were 5 people in the center. For people with their bare hands are attacking the young man, dressed in purple. It is a pity that the young man's body seems to be a little slippery, like an earthworm fleeing back and forth. The 4 people did not attack, but the young man once. The boy is the inner disciple of Juechen Palace, Yi Bufan. When a group of people wanted to swarm up, he used some aggressive methods, which led to this situation. I said no wonder you can't beat Shura with this level of attack. It will be sooner or later that he won the opportunity. After Yi Bufan escaped the attack of a young man again, a smile appeared on his face. Obviously, he was very comfortable. Damn it, I don't care. I'm going to kill this kid. A 17-year-old boy roared when he heard what Yi Bufan said. The next moment, he suddenly held a long sword in his hand, and the sword slammed at Yi Bufan. Yi Bufan didn't expect that this person would turn back, use a weapon, and accidentally cut a hole in the clothes before the murder. Upon seeing this, the other 3 took out their weapons one after another, looking at Yi Bufan fiercely. Boy, scream. I will let you scream again and drill directly under your crotch. The young man with an iron knife slashed Yi Bufan into the air and walked towards Yi Bufan step by step. Haha. Although they use weapons, this kid is really slippery. It's hard to catch him without a weapon. Well, I feel that we can force him to surrender his body. Ning Shui and Yun King Shui stood on the other side of the crowd. I'm really shameless. I used a weapon against what I said earlier. Yun King Shui said with some disdain. Yes, why isn't Shura coming out yet? It really made me wait. Ning Shui saw this. Although she wanted to help Xia Bufan in her heart, she couldn't do it at this moment. Unless she doesn't want her life. Obviously, Yi Bufan hasn't reached the point where she can spare her life to help. Sister Ning, who is this Shura? Mo Ren kept looking at Jingguang. Although he wanted to go in and take a look, he had tried Bai Ling's cold fire power. If Bai Ling, who had previously stuck to him, was like standing here, he couldn't stand here anymore. There are more than a dozen people in the crowd here, all of whom are from the inner door of Juechen Palace. Hearing Mo Ran's words, the eyes of more than a dozen people suddenly looked at Ning Shui, all of them incomparably curious. They have seen Shura's combat power. The fighting strength is unparalleled. It seems that only their big brother Yi Hongchen can compare. Unfortunately, Yi Hongchen has already. How do I clear it? Don't ask me, I don't know. Ning Shui suddenly said coldly when Mo Ran said, refusing to answer. It was undoubtedly obvious. She has always hated this kind of feminine-looking man. She looks particularly feminine. Generally, this looks and mentality are a bit distorted. This is her idea. On the other side, after the four of them took out their weapons, Yi Bufan was completely unable to hide, and several wounds appeared on his body. Did I just die like this? No. I haven't reached the stage of Yi Hongchen. How can I die? When Yi Bufan thought of this, his aura suddenly rose. Several golden tiger stripes are looming on the body. Oh, it's very lively. Chapter 0167. Yi Hongchen versus all geniuses. Oh, it's very lively. Just as a few tiger stripes appeared on Yi Bufan's body, when the golden light appeared in his eyes, a joking voice suddenly sounded. Boom! The next moment, a horrible air current came from the cold fire of Bai Ling behind them. He just forced everyone around at least 3 steps back, and some people even fell directly on the sand. Then, something stunned everyone happened. Bai Ling's cold fire that was originally flaming slowly dissipated at this time, and disappeared without a trace. A man with a height of 1.8 meters appeared in front of him. He was wearing a red and black armor, a half-red and half-black mask on his face, and a black cloak fluttering in the wind. Holding a silver spear in his hand, a monstrous spear intent appeared on him. It's him. Seeing Yi Hongchen wearing an Azura armor and wearing an Azura mask, someone suddenly exclaimed, "Look at the spear in his hand. It's gorgeous. I remember he used a sword before." Unexpectedly, this opportunity is only a weapon. Not necessarily. There may be exercises, martial arts. Peerless exercises. My farming golden dragon is here. A man who was still attacking Yi Bufan before saw it, and was overjoyed. After a roar, he rushed towards Yi Hongchen. It seems that Yi Hongchen is like a luminous vault at this moment. I don't know how to be afraid. Yi Hongchen shook his head slightly and said lightly. The next moment, a faint red light appeared on his body, and his feet moved, light as a swallow. Call. Nong Jinlong only felt a breeze coming in his ears, and the next moment, Yi Hongchen's slender figure appeared directly in front of him. As soon as the spear moved, the tip of the spear pierced directly into his body, and a mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth. Yi Hongchen expressionlessly drew the Bai Long spear from him. Without the support of the spear, Nong Jinlong fell heavily on the ground. Come on, Ashura has no fear. You have to know that the opportunities inside are incredibly rich, and there are spirit pills that can be directly promoted to the Golden Core stage. It's a pity that I'm already in the Golden Core stage and the cultivation base of the Holding Core realm. This spiritual pill is useless to me. When Yi Hongchen saw the people in front of him because he shot and killed a person of the Earth Gang realm cultivation base, they all backed in fear and couldn't help but tempt him. The blood pills in his body have little spiritual power left, and he has to use their blood to make up for his own state. Otherwise, how should he continue to snatch the next chance? What? There are still many opportunities. There is also a spiritual pill that can directly rise to the Golden Core stage. No, that's mine. Kill. After hearing Yi Hongchen's words, those people were completely crazy. No matter how brave and powerful Yi Hongchen had been before, they were killing Yi Hongchen one after another, and the sand on the ground actually raised up dust following their movements. Does he really have that kind of pill chance? Or does he have any purpose? Yi Bufan's mind was so clear that he stood motionless, but fell into contemplation. Brother Mo, aren't we going? Even the people in Juechen Palace were a little moved, looking at Mo Ran and asked. Mo Ran heard the words and thought a little bit in his mind. His IQ was not low, and he quickly said, "If you don't, let's see the situation first." After all, no one is so blatant about getting a chance. Ning Shui couldn't help but twitched when he heard Mo Ran's words. Yi Hongchen seemed to be the kind of person Mo Ran said. Couldn't this guy really got so many chances, right? Chapter 0168. Confident Yi Hongchen couldn't this guy really got so many chances, right? Thinking of this, Ning Shui couldn't help but breathe a little bit faster. Senior Sister Ning, don't you want to make sure his idea? Have you ever seen him do something you're not sure about? Feeling the strangeness of Ning Shui, Yun King Shui on the side reminded something. Hearing Yun King Shui's words, Ning Shui's heart suddenly seemed to be splashed with a bucket of cold water. Yup. When did that guy do something unsure? Yes, the spirit pill that can directly rise to the golden pill stage. It's on my body. Why don't take it this time when? Yi Hongchen looked at the person rushing in front of him and continued to bewitched. The white dragon spear in his hand reached the ground. A group of idiots deserve it if they die. Yi Hongchen couldn't help but mutter when he saw those people falling with his words, speeding up faster. Ha! Kill you. The spirit pill is mine. A young man slashed at Yi Hongchen, his eyes full of greed. It was as if the opportunity on Yi Hongchen's body had become his thing at this moment. Idiot, Yi Hongchen said coldly, a quick shot, and the last shot came first. Puff! The spear pierced his body all of a sudden. Yi Hongchen didn't even see his face, and the spear slapped his body fiercely. His corpse flew out directly, in the same direction as the group of people. Time marksmanship. Yi Hongchen closed his eyes, and the Bailong spear stood beside him, and a faint white light appeared on the spear body. The person who was shot flying by him directly hit a few people into the air, and he just blocked the crowd who was rushing over. Before they could scold them, Yi Hongchen had already opened his eyes, holding the Bailong spear in one hand, and a long spear stabbed at the crowd of no fewer than 30 people. Wow! A white dragon directly envelopes Yi Hongchen, just like Yi Hongchen is a white dragon. Wow! The speed was extremely fast. Yi Hongchen came directly behind the crowd and stood there holding a white dragon spear straight. There was still no movement from the crowd. It seemed that his shot just now was an empty gesture. Well, what's going on? The long white dragon is gone. Ning Shui murmured slightly when she saw Yi Hongchen, who stood upright and didn't turn around to look at those people. The long white dragon, when Yi Hongchen passed through the last person, had completely disappeared. Is it possible that the trick just now was really useless? Mo Ran was also puzzled, but the eyes of Yi Hongchen were still extremely jealous. Where is he? Damn it, I thought I was going to die just now. I dare to play a trick on me. I will show you how powerful my sword is. I'm not blowing King in Mountain. I'll take my life. After seeing the white dragon passing through, when they were still fine, all of them were overjoyed, and when they saw Yi Hongchen's location, they directly killed them again. 3. Yi Hongchen still didn't turn around, but said coldly, "The crowd is getting closer, and it is now about 10 meters closer to Yi Hongchen. 2. Are you counting the time of your death? Ha ha. I am a little self-aware." After approaching Yi Hongchen, hearing Yi Hongchen's words, several people laughed a little, and one after another hit Yi Hongchen. 1. Yi Hongchen didn't even look at them, but continued to say faintly. When the words fell, the more than 40 people who were originally full of vitality killed Yi Hongchen. Suddenly all collapsed to the ground. Then, the wrinkles on the face became more and more, and the hair became extremely gray. Chapter 0169. It's really Brother Yi. There were more and more wrinkles on his face. The black on his head became extremely pale, and his body gradually became thinner. Even the cultivation base in the body is losing at a terrifying speed, as if the function in the body cannot accommodate this kind of spiritual power. Well, what is going on? I feel that it's hard to lift my eyelids. My hair turned white. I'm still so young. My teeth have fallen out, and there are wrinkles on my face. How can I marry someone? The dozens of people who rushed behind Yi Hongchen fell to the ground one after another. When they felt the changes in their bodies, they couldn't accept it, especially girls who love beauty. They can't accept this kind of thing at all. The weapons in their hands have long been thrown into places where they don't know. Yi Hongchen turned around just now. His azure blue eyes were full of indifference. You are really greedy, but unfortunately, you don't have that greedy capital, Yi Hongchen said lightly, looking at the dozens of people who fell in front of him. What kind of magic did you use? An old man, who seemed to be about to enter the coffin, asked Yi Hongchen in a hoarse voice. This question is a good question, and what I use is the magic that makes you people die. Yi Hongchen said coldly when he heard the words. The next moment, he turned his head slightly, looked at the crowd in the Absolute Qin Palace, smiled faintly, and said, "If you don't go, do you want to try it too?" Mo ran, Ning Shui, Yun Qingshui, and other people in Juechen Palace all glanced at the crowd lying on the ground when they heard this, followed by a chill. "Sura, you don't mess around. Otherwise, after going out, I will let Master hang you on a tree and beat you for 3 days." Ning Shui quickly backed away, fearing that Yi Hongchen would attack her, threatening her. "Sura, I admire." Mo ran, arched his hand towards Yi Hongchen, and then turned and left. "Admire." The other inner disciples of Juechen Palace also learned the appearance of Mo Ran, and said to Yi Hongchen, hurriedly following Mo Ran, as if they were also afraid that Yi Hongchen would come to them. Yi Bufan didn't know what he had gone, and he could not be seen at this moment. It seemed that he ran away when Yi Hongchen was fighting with dozens of people. In the field, apart from Yi Hongchen and the dozens of people lying on the ground cursing Yi Hongchen, there was only Yun Qingshui. Yun Qingshui slowly approached Yi Hongchen. His eyes were full of fear, and his body was trembling, but instead of leaving, he walked towards him. "Why didn't you leave?" Yi Hongchen was a little confused when he saw this. If he changed to someone else, he could just pass by with a white dragon spear. Yun Qingshui did not speak, and when he walked in front of Yi Hongchen, he tentatively whispered, "Brother Yi?" Suddenly hearing Yun Qingshui's words, Yi Hongchen couldn't help being a little horrified, as if a big wave was set off in his heart. "How do you know? Who else knows?" Yi Hongchen slowly took off Shura's mask, revealing his handsome and extraordinary face, questioning, "It's really your senior brother, Yi?" Yun Qingshui shouted with some surprise when he saw Yi Hongchen's face. At the next moment, he threw himself into Yi Hongchen's arms without any hesitation, and his entire face was buried on Yi Hongchen's fierceness. Seeing Yun Qingshui's reaction, Yi Hongchen suddenly understood Yun Qingshui's somewhat tentative meaning and silently put on the Shura mask. "Don't shout too loudly. I don't want to reveal my identity yet," Yi Hongchen said as he took out the star sword from the Shura Lord of the Rings. Chapter 0170. Peak State. "Don't shout too loudly. I don't want to reveal my identity yet," Yi Hongchen said as he took out the star sword from the Shura Lord of the Rings. Yun Qingshui still leaned against Yi Hongchen's arms, feeling a sense of satisfaction in his heart. Yi Hongchen casually swiped the star sword behind him, and suddenly there was a long sword of more than 50 bloody blood above him. Randomly put the white dragon spear into the Shura Lord of the Rings. Yi Hongchen blocked Yun Qingshui's eyes with one hand. "You can go straight away later. After all, Ning Shui can't see you later. Maybe he'll be back again." Yi Hongchen looked at Yun Qingshui, who was relying on her arms, and said softly. When the words fell, those bloody long swords suddenly fell in the sky, behind him. Hoo-hoo-hoo. Puff in the next moment. Those who were lying on the ground and gradually losing their vitality were reaped mercilessly by these bloody long swords without any resistance. All of his body was crossed by a long sword on his neck, and blood flowed along the sword wound. Until the end, even the voice of scolding Yi Hongchen completely disappeared, and everyone was killed at this moment. Yi Hongchen slowly lowered the hand that was blocking Yun Qingshui's eyes and stepped back a few steps. "Let's go," Yi Hongchen said softly, staring at Yun Qingshui with a pair of blue eyes. Yun King, underwater, consciously avoided Yi Hongchen's eyes, took aim at the ground, and whispered, "Well then, Brother Yi, you have to take care." After speaking, Yun Qingshui turned his head after 3 steps, and Yi Hongchen also watched Yun Qingshui's departure. After Yun Qingshui was gone, Yi Hongchen randomly cut off the gray hair of an old woman on the ground and held it in his hand. As if entering the golden light group, Bai Ling's cold fire appeared again in Yi Hongchen's hand, and he directly burned the gray hair in his hand. In the next second, Yi Hongchen threw out the cold fire of Bai Ling in his heart. Bai Ling cold fire was like a flexible snake directly surrounding Yi Hongchen and the corpse lying on the ground. The raging white flames directly blocked Yi Hongchen and the corpse in an instant, making it difficult to see what was inside. Now you can recover with peace of mind. Yi Hongchen observed and nodded with some satisfaction. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, he slowly revolved the Shura Sha Qigong in his body. Bright red blood flowed out from the sword wound on his neck and floated on top of Yi Hongchen's head, gradually forming a blood-filled sphere. The bloodshots seemed to be dragged by something and slowly penetrated into Yi Hongchen's body. In the Dantian, the gold core that was originally only bloody had now recovered half of the blue and half of the red color. The spiritual power in the golden core was gradually replenished, and Yi Hongchen's sick lips began to recover. After half an hour, Yi Hongchen opened his eyes slowly. A red light flashed in his eyes, and a gust of wind suddenly hit Yi Hongchen's long black hair. Recovered. There's even a feeling of a lot of diligence. Yi Hongchen muttered after feeling the golden core in his body was full of spiritual power. Although at this moment, it is still only the cultivation base of the middle golden core pill-holding realm. Yi Hongchen is confident that it will not take long before he can break through the pill-holding realm. Achieve the cultivation base of the Yuan Dan realm. Yi Hongchen stood up, and with a casual move, Bai Ling, who had been blocking him, disappeared suddenly. The next moment, a bunch of golden short creatures appeared directly in front of Yi Hongchen's eyes. It looks like a tortoise in the previous life, but it's very petite, and there is no shell on its back, but its tail has a tiny golden needle. When he recovered his cultivation base, he was surrounded by them. Chapter 0171. The strange man, what kind of monster beast is this? Why have I never seen it before? Yi Hongchen was a little puzzled after looking at the monster beasts in front of him. He's in Juechen Palace. In the Monster Beast Handbook, there is no such kind of monster beast. Obviously, the person who records the characteristics of the monster beast in Juechen Palace has not encountered it. When Yi Hongchen observed them, they unexpectedly lifted their tails behind them in a tacit understanding. Above the golden needles, a golden light appeared, and the next moment, it quickly rushed towards Yi Hongchen. This kind of light is all around, light as a swallow. Seeing this, Yi Hongchen moved his feet, and his whole person rose up into the sky, floating in the sky. Boom! The next moment, where Yi Hongchen originally stood, the sandy ground suddenly became a golden ground. It can be metallized. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchen couldn't help but shrink, because the golden light below suddenly flew toward him. Open flow. Yi Hongchen swung his sword, and a blue sword aura immediately faced the flying golden light. The sound of a sword sound rang in front of Yi Hongchen, and the next moment, the blue sword energy was shot into golden sword energy by the golden light formed by the combination of these golden lights. Then, that golden sword aura immediately dissipated like grains of sand, and the golden light continued to fly towards Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen was a little bit empty, and the whole person disappeared immediately, and the golden light fell directly into the sky. No, the spiritual power just recovered can't be used up here in vain. You have to get out quickly. The golden light rushed again, and Yi Hongchen easily avoided after showing his body as light as a swallow. But those golden monsters continued to wave the golden needles behind them as if they were tireless and exhausted, and the golden light continued to fly towards him. Yi Hongchen had a pool of hands, and a white flame suddenly appeared in the center of his hands. Half of it was extremely cold, and the other half was extremely hot. After Yi Hongchen avoided a few golden rays of light, he directly threw the cold fire in Bai Ling onto the ground. Boom! As soon as Bai Ling Linghua touched the ground composed of sand was instantly burned into a small pit. The flames burned away with the sand on the ground, and they just burned up those unknown golden monsters, and their golden tails didn't lift up. Yi Hongchen took advantage of this gap and directly cast Bai Ling's cold fire, disappearing into the sky above. On the ground, only Bai Ling's cold fire that burned more and more vigorously, and the golden monster beast that had been cooked. Oh, this made him run? It's interesting. After Yi Hongchen left, a man dressed in a black robe and a black mask walked out of the sand. A pair of hollow eyes seemed to be full of curiosity. The next moment, I saw him wave his hand. A golden light swept directly into the blazing Bai Ling cold fire, and Bai Ling cold fire was completely wiped out by this golden light. A burnt monster was exposed, and the man saw it and murmured, "Let's go, I want to clean up all the people who disturbed my dormancy." When the man's words fell, golden light suddenly appeared on those monster beasts, and the monster beast that had been burned to death had come back to life. Then he got into the sand ground and disappeared. Even the black-robed man, who turned into a pile of golden sand, disappeared in the old castle at night. After Yi Hongchen left the place of right and wrong, he came directly to a ruin based on the location recorded by looking at the map earlier. This place should be the 8th area. The color is green, that is to say, it should be a safe area. Geniuses, after 2 days, you have survived. Chapter 0172. The first test. You geniuses, after 2 days of trials, if you survive, it proves that you are qualified to enter the second trial. As long as you can find a scarlet dagger within a day and come to the safe area of the 8th area, you can enter the second test. As a reminder, the bloody short dagger cannot be stored in the storage ring. It must be held in your hand. Otherwise, once violated, he will be disqualified directly. Yi Hongchen hadn't taken a few steps just now, and a voice full of majesty was uploaded from the sky. The loudness of the voice could make Yi Hongchen's hearing deafening. And in the end, a powerful coercion is still pressing on Yi Hongchen and the others. Even Yi Hongchen was a little unstable, as if he wanted to bow down. Ha! The owner of this voice must be the owner of this ruin. No, I have to decide on this scarlet dagger. Just your cultivation base in the gang realm. Still want a chance? Go dream. Just when Yi Hongchen was hesitant to look for it, 2 young men rushed out of the 8th area, which is amidst the ruins. He even ignored Yi Hongchen and ran away straight away. Sir, a demon lord? No. That person's voice is definitely not like this, and he has never appeared in this kind of inheritance ceremony. Yi Hongchen remembered the inheritance of the demon lord Shura at the bottom of the cliff outside Luoyang City, and suddenly became suspicious of the claim that the ruins were the ruins of the demon lord Shura. Slightly shook his head, since they are all out looking for it. Then he doesn't need to waste time looking for it. Stop them directly here. Anyway, they will eventually come to this 8th area. Thinking of this, Yi Hongchen fell directly behind a wall overgrown with weeds and waited for it. 3 minutes later, although there were people coming during these 3 hours, there was no bloody short dagger in his hands. So, Yi Hongchen's 3 hours can be said. Not a single bit of gain. Boy, don't run. Leave the dagger in your hand, or you will be killed. At this moment, along the route in front of Yi Hongchen, a young man with a firm face, holding a blood-colored dagger, was rushing towards him. And behind him, there were 3 people who followed. Obviously, they also had the same idea as Yi Hongchen. Wait for the rabbit. You can take my life, then just come and fetch it. The young man said without looking back, and continued to run towards the 8th area. The blood-colored dagger in his hand directly lit up a dazzling red light, and it seemed that as long as he entered the 8th area, this young man would be able to be protected. When the 3 people behind him saw this, their expressions were incomparably panicked, for fear that the prey in front of him would fly away. Okay, boy, you forced me. It turned into a bull. Upon seeing the young man in an orange shirt, a yellow talisman suddenly appeared in his hand. In the next moment, in front of the Scarlet Dagger boys, a black rhino suddenly appeared and slammed directly at him. What? Seeing this, the boy wanted to change his body shape or stop. But his speed just now was so fast that he couldn't stop. He was about to be stabbed by the sharp unicorn of the rhinoceros. The next moment, the young man suddenly bent down, and my scarlet dagger's hand were thrown directly into the sky, and my hands were precisely grasping the rhino's neck. In the next second, the young man drew out from under the rhinoceros, and the rhino was killed by its own collision force. The young man held its neck and fell to the ground all of a sudden. This dagger is mine. Chapter 0173. Taking the blood dagger. This dagger is mine. Just as the young man used his skills to avoid the fatal blow, the young man who had taken his life had already soared into the sky and grabbed the bloody short dagger that was falling down with one hand. Fart! Obviously it's mine. Don't mess around. The other young man didn't react slowly. When the first person jumped up, he jumped up quickly and followed. The last person was a teenager, and when the two got up, they bounced quickly and rushed toward the bloody dagger in the sky. Its speed was even faster than those of these two young people, and it rushed to the top in a sudden. Damn it, I finally got it. The young man who had just fallen down the rhinoceros stood on the ground and said in a slightly disappointed manner when he saw this. And he is the inner disciple of Juechen Palace, Yibu Fan. Sorry, this dagger looks very handy, so I will accept it. Above the sky, just when the last young man was about to get the scarlet dagger, an indifferent voice suddenly sounded in the field. The next moment, Yi Hongchen, wearing the Shura armor, suddenly appeared beside the scarlet dagger, slightly put his hand out, and directly held the dagger in the palm of his hand. Then, kick out 3 kicks quickly. Dragon shadow. Like a dragon's tail, the 3 people in the sky, including Yi Fan on the ground, couldn't see when Yi Hongchen's feet moved. Only a few black shadows flew out and hit the 3 people in the air fiercely. The 3 of them were half hit by a car and fell heavily from the sky to the ground. 3 small human-shaped pits appeared on the flat ground. Yi Hongchen fell to the ground lightly, her long black hair fluttering in the wind, and she looked at the bloody short dagger in her hand. The dagger is transparent, and Yi Hongchen can even see the ground through the dagger. Crystal clear, it seems that this blood-colored short dagger is completely made of red crystal. Holding in the hand, it still has a slippery feeling. Damn it, who dared to attack me? I wonder if Li Gan is a genius with the name of Tianyun. A young man stood up from the ground with an extremely fierce complexion. Soon, Yi Hongchen, holding a bloody short dagger, directly entered his line of sight. He couldn't help but looked at Yi Hongchen and even used a spirit test to sense Yi Hongchen's cultivation. Unfortunately, he couldn't sense it at all. It seemed that Yi Hongchen was just a simple, ordinary person. Oh, Li Gan, is it famous? Why haven't I heard it? Yi Hongchen asked with some confusion when he heard what Li Gan said. He really didn't know who Li Gan was and how famous he was. But what he said fell on Li Gan's ears, and that was a blatant mockery of him. Suddenly furious. Good. I will let you know today, Li Gan is amazing. After Li Gan finished speaking, a piece of golden rune paper appeared in his hand, and he directly injected the rune paper with spiritual power. Boom! The next moment, a thunderous roar sounded from the talisman, and a blue thunder suddenly rushed towards Yi Hongchen. This is an ancient talisman that can cause serious injuries to the masters of the pill formation stage in the early stage of the Golden Core. Now it depends on whether you die. Seeing Yi Hongchen standing still, Li Gan suddenly smiled. It's just a mere thunder, what's the fear? Yi Hongchen looked at the thunder rushing in front of him and shook his head. The next moment, the hand holding the bloody short dagger directly stretched out, and he actually used the bloody short dagger to pick up the thunder. When Li Gan saw this, his complexion suddenly changed, and he wanted to take back the thunder directly. Don't break this thing. Chapter 0174. Killing Genius in 5 seconds. Don't break this thing. Seeing that Yi Hongchen took the scarlet dagger to thunder, he couldn't help but roar. He didn't want to have no chance of entering the second test because of his attack. Bad? It's hard to break the things in my hands. Yi Hongchen shook his head, confident. Boom! The blue thunder directly touched the blood-colored short dagger in Yi Hongchen's hand, and the broken dagger Li Gan had imagined did not appear. On the contrary, the blue thunder is still surrounding the bloody dagger. What? How is this possible? Li Gan saw his eyes almost protruding, full of doubts. Ben Lei's sword technique, Yi Hongchen said flatly without expression. When the words fell, as Yi Hongchen waved his hand, a blue thunder was faster than the previous speed and hit Li Gan directly and severely. What? The terrifying thunder and lightning made Li Gan let out a scream. Unfortunately, no one paid any attention to him, and the 3 of Yi Fan stared at Yi Hongchen blankly. One move, only one move. Surprisingly kill a genius in the heavenly gang realm. Benlay swordsmanship? Are you from Jianmen? A young man in the chasing trio took a step forward and asked towards Yi Hongchen. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchen didn't say anything. He turned around and walked slowly towards the 8th area, that is the ruined city. Upon seeing this, the young man and the young man looked at each other and rushed towards Yi Hongchen very tacitly. A sword intent erupted from the young man's body, and his swordsmanship was even more exquisite. He shot out more than 30 sword auras at once and flew towards Yi Hongchen. Boy, keep the dagger. When another young man saw this, he was overjoyed. The next moment, he clasped his fist in his hands and jumped up directly towards Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen didn't look back, felt the strength in the young man's hand, and directly calculated his injury. Rushing, Yi Hongchen moved his feet, and the whole person disappeared immediately, leaving only the afterimage in place, and the young man directly smashed the afterimage with a punch. Boom! In that area, the broken stones were directly blown in a flight by his punch. What? Gone! The young man was shocked when he saw that he was lost. He never felt that Yi Hongchen had moved. Why is there only an afterimage left? You are too slow. At this time, Yi Hongchen's indifferent voice penetrated his left ear. Puff! As soon as the voice fell, the young man's left arm said goodbye directly to the body and fell to the ground. What? The young man felt the pain in his left arm and couldn't help shouting loudly. Don't yell. You haven't leveled it yet. And be mentally prepared. Yi Hongchen suddenly appeared to his right when the youth screamed. When the words fell, a blue sword light appeared on his right arm, and his right arm also flew out. Puff! Before the youth screamed, Yi Hongchen held a blood-colored short dagger and pierced his forehead directly with a sword. Dagger, that is also a sword. The youth didn't last for 5 seconds, and just like that, he died at the hands of Yi Hongchen. At this time, the young man's sword energy attacked, and Yi Hongchen saw it and continued to shake his head. Compared with Jianqi, you are far worse, Yi Hongchen said faintly. The next moment, holding a bloody short dagger, he swung it directly in the direction of the young man. A bloody sword aura, not too big or too small, flew quickly towards the young man. A strong air current completely blocked the place around the boy, making him unable to move at all, and he could only resist the sword energy of Xia Hongchen. Chapter 0175. I'm going one step first, and Yi Hongchen, looking at the extremely dense Jianqi rushing in front of him, suddenly his hand or back behind him, showing a masterful demeanor. A faint blue light appeared on Yi Hongchen's body, and Yi Hongchen's body evaded these sword auras extremely quickly, and in the end, there was no sword aura that hit Yi Hongchen, and that young man, without exception, relying on his innate cultivation base. How could he block Yi Hongchen's sword energy? The sword gas directly slashed through his throat, his eyes stunned and fell on the ground. What? The last young man, that is the young man hit by the thunder, made the last scream at this time, and his body turned into flying ash and dissipated here. From Yi Hongchen's action to the death of the 3 people, a series of time has not exceeded 15 seconds. And it was in this short time that Yi Hongchen directly killed 3 heavenly gang realms in seconds. And it looked like he did it casually. Yi Bufan looked at Yi Hongchen with a touch of convincing and fear in his heart. Aren't you leaving? I still want the bloody dagger in my hand. Yi Hongchen raised his eyes slightly and asked Yi Bufan slowly. After speaking, he obviously lifted the bloody dagger in his hand, as if he wanted Yi Bufan to see it more clearly. Let's go, I'll go now. Yi Bufan heard the words and immediately responded quickly, then turned around and left without the slightest sluggishness. Although the dagger he had obtained first was gone, Yi Hongchen's combat power was stronger than him, so he could only give up. Seeing this, Yi Hongchen slowly shook his head, and a touch of contempt appeared in his eyes. This native protagonist doesn't look very good. His character and combat power are not good, and he doesn't know what a golden finger is. Putting his thoughts aside, Yi Hongchen held the blood-colored dagger in his hand and slowly walked into the 8th area, the blood-colored dagger in his hand burst into red light. On the road, I also encountered some blind people who wanted to seize the bloody dagger in Yi Hongchen's hand, but unfortunately, they were all killed by his sword. No matter who the other party is and what background he has, Yi Hongchen will not hesitate. And some of the inner disciples of Juechen Palace have been killed by him himself. After Yi Hongchen walked to the 8th area, which is the center of the abandoned city, the bloody dagger in his hand suddenly dropped out, and he appeared in the air. Boom! The next moment, a blood-colored door appeared in front of Yi Hongchen out of thin air, and the blood-colored dagger had disappeared without a trace. Come to think of it, this blood-colored door should be a blood-colored dagger. It just opened the portal. Look, it's on. It turns out that this dagger is necessary to open the portal. No, I have to squat. Even if the door appeared, those guarding the 8th area did not dare to rush over and enter first, because there is Yi Hongchen, the killing star there, unless some of them are dead. It is worth mentioning that in the past 2 days, the name of Yi Hongchen Shura has spread among the ruins. It is also for this reason that there are really few people who dare to stop Yi Hongchen. Everyone, I'm going one step ahead, and I have a chance to see you later. Yi Hongchen walked to the blood gate and said to the person who was hiding in the corner and watching. Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, the corners of those people's lips couldn't help but twitch. Listen, is this PG them off? After speaking, Yi Hongchen walked directly into the bloody door. As Yi Hongchen entered, the red light on the door gradually dimmed. Finally, the door disappeared, leaving only a stone in the shape of a short dagger. Yi Hongchen only felt that his eyes were dark, and when he opened his eyes again, he had come to an extremely dark place. Chapter 0176. 108 stone statues. This place seemed to be a secret room, very large, but there was no light. Yi Hongchen also relied on spiritual sense to barely see the scene in front of him. Were these things? Yi Hongchen was slightly puzzled when he saw the pile of rocks in front of him. Only when I got closer did I show these stones clearly. They were a pile of stone statues. There are people, there are monsters, and there are always 108 of these stone statues. Call. Just after Yi Hongchen finished calculating the stone statues, a white light flew from the stone statues and imprinted on the ceiling above. The entire venue was as bright as an electric light, and those stone statues, as if they had come to life, started to move by themselves. A stone statue closest to Yi Hongchen, holding a stone axe, cut it down directly towards Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen moved his feet to avoid the stone axe, and then slammed his foot on the head of the stone statue. Boom! The head of the stone statue was completely kicked to pieces by Yi Hongchen, but the body was still able to move and continued to kill Yi Hongchen. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchen directly took out the white dragon spear, flexibly avoided the stone statue's attack, and pierced his body with a single shot. Rumbling. When the white dragon spear passed through the body of the stone statue, a broken sound rang, and then the stone statue in front of him suddenly turned into a waste stone and fell to the ground. Yi Hongchen carried Bailong's spear behind him, looked at the pile of stone statues in front of him, his eyes condensed. This place seems to have to go through here. Yi Hongchen looked behind the pile of stone statues, and there seemed to be a red light emerging there. Call. When Yi Hongchen's thoughts fell, a burst of breaking air suddenly sounded. What caught the eye was an extremely ferocious monster beast with a big mouth, with rocks all over its body. BG towards Yi Hongchen. Seeing this, Yi Hongchen subconsciously pierced the white dragon spear, and the tip of the spear directly collided with this monster stone statue. A powerful force suddenly uploaded from the gun, causing Yi Hongchen to quickly retrieve the white dragon gun. Because Yi Hongchen retracted the white dragon spear, the monster stone statue continued to crash into Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen tapped his toes lightly, and his whole body slowly passed through the air like a butterfly. Come down and die. Just when Yi Hongchen passed most of the stone statues and came to the center, he suddenly heard a sound of some machine sounds. The next moment, a tall stone statue in armor rose from below. The stone longsword swept towards Yi Hongchen fiercely, and the surrounding area was dragged by the long sword. An aura suddenly emerged from Yi Hongchen's body, and he shot at this stone sword, and his whole person was like an invincible general. Unparalleled guns. Boom! When Shi Jian and Yi Hongchen's white dragon spear touched each other, Shi Jian turned into rubble. Seeing such a good opportunity, Yi Hongchen would naturally not let it go, and when he moved his feet, he immediately came with a gun behind the stone statue of the general. Big guy, go down! When the words fell, Yi Hongchen slapped the back of the stone statue fiercely with the gun body, and the stone statue quickly hit the ground as if it had been hit by something terrifying. Boom! He was smashed into a big hole by Yi Hongchen and crushed some stone statues around him, including the stone statue of the general. The stones on his body were also scattered and cracked, and he was lying motionless in the pit at the moment. Seeing this, Yi Hongchen continued to fly towards the back of the stone statues. If these stone statues have only these abilities, they can't stop them from flying. Yi Hongchen muttered as he saw the red light coming closer and closer. Chapter 0177 easily passed just after this thought emerged in Yi Hongchen's heart. All the stone statues underneath had thrown out stone weapons, and those stone weapons were of different shapes, and they all lifted into the air. To be precise, they all flew towards Yi Hongchen, as if they were about to harvest Yi Hongchen's life. I don't know that the spear skill cannot be used in conjunction with the Xin Yuekui of the sword skill. Yi Hongchen saw a variety of stone weapons flying towards him, and an extremely bold idea emerged in his heart. Just do what you want. Before the stone weapons hit Yi Hongchen directly placed the white dragon spear in front of him and closed the white dragon spear with both hands in the air. The next moment, a group of white light appeared on the white dragon spear, and the light became stronger and stronger. Change! Yi Hongchen pushed his hands outwards and said lightly. In the next moment, above Yi Hongchen and beside him, blood-colored spears appeared, like a rain of arrows. Hoo-hoo-hoo. It just so happened that those stone weapons that were close to 100 before flew right in front of Yi Hongchen. Behind him, it seemed that they were just about to launch an offensive. Fall! Yi Hongchen's complexion was indifferent. Looking at the stone weapon in front of him, he turned his hands behind his back, slowly floating towards the red light behind these stone statues. Boom! 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 As Yi Hongchen's words fell, the scarlet spear quickly flew towards the stone weapons, as if it had received an instruction. Any one or two hits by the scarlet spear, those stone weapons shattered without exception. Yi Hongchen was holding the white dragon spear, ignoring these stone weapons, and soon fell in front of the blood. Just standing still, the stone statue that had started the riot suddenly returned to calm, and after a while, it became an ordinary stone statue again, still holding all kinds of stone weapons in his hands. It seemed that Yi Hongchen had just smashed their weapons, which was completely an illusion. Even the stone statue of General Naiming is standing in the center of the stone statue at this moment, and the majestic image is completely revealed. It seems that by walking here, you will be able to pass this pile of stone statues. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchen said inwardly, "Congratulations, the second test has passed. After the third test is passed, you will be my inheritor." Sure enough, amidst the blood and light, a majestic voice pierced Yi Hongchen's ears, making him dizzy. Powerful, too strong. Just the sound can actually make him turbulent. After Yi Hongchen recovered, the blood in front of him suddenly turned into a bloody door. Without hesitation, Yi Hongchen walked in directly. After Yi Hongchen walked into the blood gate returned to a blood-colored light ball, which appeared in the air. And in front of 108 stone statues, bloody little doors appeared one after another. Yi Lingyun, Mo Ran, Ning Shui, and other geniuses in the costumes of the core disciples of Juechen Palace appeared one after another. Because Yi Buffon's scarlet dagger was snatched by Yi Hongchen, he was still looking for another opportunity at this moment. I heard that Shura has already come in. Looking at this situation, it seems that he has already broken through here. Yi Lingyun looked at the stone statue in front of him, unable to find any traces of battle, and said with some confusion, That guy's indeed strong, but how can we from the absolute dust palace lose to him? Hurry up, we have to follow. When Mo Ran heard Yi Lingyun's words, although he was still a little unconvinced in his eyes, at least there was no trouble. The other side, after Yi Hongchen walked into the blood gate, he came directly to an ice cave. The extremely cold temperature made Yi Hongchen feel a bit creepy. Chapter 0178. Retrieving lost memories, but in such a cold ice cave. There was a little boy sitting there, and there was a burst of blue light on his body. He is cultivating? Yi Hongchen was slightly surprised when he saw this. After all, in this extremely cold space, this little boy can still practice, and his character is self-evident. Puff! At this time, the little boy suddenly opened his eyes, and a mouthful of blood spurted from his mouth. Are you okay? Yi Hongchen didn't know why, only thought that the little boy was very kind, and could not help asking. Unfortunately, the little boy didn't seem to hear Yi Hongchen's words, so he hurriedly got up from the ice and wiped the blood from his mouth with his palm. No, I can't let my father down. I will definitely break through the congenital key gangway tomorrow. The little boy raised his head, his eyes full of determination. As soon as he raised his head, Yi Hongchen was stunned, especially when he saw his azure blue eyes. A thought suddenly emerged in his heart. Isn't this what he was like when he was a kid? No wonder he saw the little boy. He thought the little boy was very kind. Boom! A sound like broken glass pierced Yi Hongchen's ears, and the picture in front of him changed suddenly. A 14-year-old boy with an indifferent complexion, his hands intentionally or unintentionally held at the hilt of his waist. Opposite him were three people wearing black robes and covering their faces. The next moment, the young man grasped the hand on the hilt in his waist and quickly pulled out the long sword in his waist. The three people in front of him did not see the boy's movements at all, and a blue sword light suddenly lit up on their bodies. Puff, puff, puff. In the next second, all three of them had their hands disconnected, and their wounds were extremely neat and smooth. What? The three of them seemed to feel that their hands were missing. Looking at the wound, they couldn't help but scream. The boy's blue eyes looked at the three of them like this, and didn't continue to attack, as if he didn't want their lives much. Chenur, as my son, you must be ruthless and decisive. Don't be mothers-in-law that can't accomplish great things like that. Not worthy of being me, Yi Tianjue's son. Yi Tianjue, in a black long gown, walked to the boy's side and said coldly. When the young man heard Yi Tianjue's words, hesitated in his eyes, but as the three of them groaned in pain, the hesitation in his eyes suddenly disappeared. Pulling out the long sword at his waist, he slowly walked towards the three people lying on the ground screaming in pain. Puff puff. The next moment, the young man raised his sword and fell, and the three of them immediately lost their breath, and even the screams stopped. When Yi Hongchen saw this, a picture suddenly appeared in his mind, exactly the same as the picture just now. That is to say, this time, Yi Hongchen truly changed. He secretly began to become murderous, but on the bright side, he maintained the appearance of young Master Piampian. At the age of 16, the young palace lord was fought for, and Yi Hongchen defeated with one opponent and two, and finally won the position of the young palace lord. That is to say, in this battle, Yi Hongchen really has nowhere to go, and the current Yi Hongchen soul is wearing it. It's a mere illusion. Do you really think I can't break it? Yi Hongchen slowly closed his eyes. His tone was extremely indifferent. As early as the first time he came in, the scene of the little boy in the ice cave, he already knew that this was an illusion, but the original body has nothing about these memories at all. This was the reason why Yi Hongchen watched patiently. When the words fell, Yi Hongchen made a move, and the star sword was immediately held in his hand. Chapter 0179. Talking Little Frog, Wind Wave Swordsmanship, Sky Flow Style. After Yi Hongchen put the white dragon spear into the Shura Lord of the Rings, he lifted the star sword directly. A terrifying wind swept the entire space instantly. With the appearance of the wind, the surrounding scenes gradually changed, and Yi Hongchen was standing on a high platform. A burst of light fell from the sky, and shone on him. And under the high platform, there was a petite green frog, and the one with his eyes open was a big one. You, how did you come out? A slightly panicked voice came into Yi Hongchen's ears, and Yi Hongchen looked around. There was no one. Unable to be puzzled, he murmured, "Strange, what is it? Who is talking?" When the little frog saw this, his already wide-eyed eyes suddenly grew a bit bigger again and jumped up and down. "A hole! Are you ignoring this great god? You can't hear that this great god is talking. You deserve to enter this ghost place." Finally, when he jumped up and down the little frog, Yi Hongchen also saw it and heard what it said. Yi Hongchen moved his feet and immediately disappeared from the ring. When he reappeared, he had already arrived in front of the little frog. With one hand out, he grabbed the little frog directly in his hand, with eyes full of scrutiny, and said lightly, "You still call yourself a great god with your cultivation level? I think it's better to be called a toad." "What? Toad? You are insulting this great god. You know, take my kick." When the little frog heard Yi Hongchen's words, he was immediately angry and kicked his little legs towards Yi Hongchen. Before the little frog kicked him, Yi Hongchen quickly reached out and knocked on the little frog's forehead fiercely. "Where is this? If you dare not say or lie, just roast you and taste the frog's taste." "It seems good." After being knocked a few times by Yi Hongchen, the little frog immediately became honest, and Yi Hongchen threatened directly. "Well, this great god doesn't know." The little frog's eyes widened, and his small eyes rolled in it, as if he was making some ideas. "Call." After hearing the words in front of the little frog, a white flame suddenly appeared on Yi Hongchen's other hand. The cold is piercing the hot is going to melt. It is Bai Ling's cold fire. No matter how honest you are, I can't guarantee that this Bai Ling's cold fire appeared on my other hand. After Yi Hongchen finished speaking, he put his hand, braving the white flame, close to the little frog. The little frog saw Bai Ling getting closer and colder, and felt the temperature on his body become hot and cold, and his eyes shrank slightly. I recruited them all." Finally, the little frog stretched out his hands very humanely, swayed in front of Yi Hongchen, and shouted. When Yi Hongchen saw the funny face of the little frog, the corners of his mouth couldn't help, but he smiled faintly. "Why don't you say it? This is the Azura Cemetery. The people who died in the cemetery were not masters on the mainland before they were alive, but they were all during the encirclement and suppression of Azura. All of them were killed by the Azura Demon Lord. As for why it was called the Azura Cemetery, it was because the Azura Demon Lord was also seriously injured and lived soon. That's why this ghost place was changed to the Shura Cemetery. The reason is that these people have to accompany the Shura Demon Lord in the funeral." After speaking, the little frog turned his head slightly and signaled Yi Hongchen to put away Bai Ling's cold fire. "Stop talking nonsense. You could just say what this test is about." Yi Hongchen saw it, and instead of putting Bai Ling away from the cold fire, he approached the little frog more and more. I'm going to die. I can't tell. I'm going to die." Chapter 0180, Shuratum. I'm going to die. I can't say it. I'm going to die." Seeing this, the little frog didn't say anything, but pretended to be dying. Even the whites of his eyes were rolled out. Seeing this, Yi Hongchen could only helplessly take Bai Ling cold fire into his body, and said lightly, "Now can I say it?" The little frog nodded in satisfaction. Even his eyes returned to normal, and continued. "This test is also related to Azura Demon Lord." "Oh, is it really the inheritance of Demon Lord Shura?" Yi Hongchen was a little confused when he heard the words. He was sure that the Shura Sha Qigong he was forced to practice was taught by someone named Shura Demon Lord. Don't interrupt the words of this great god. Otherwise, this great god will get excited and forget everything. The little frog said while looking at Yi Hongchen, holding his hands fiercely. "I will endure." Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchen couldn't help holding the little frog tightly and forcibly kicked the idea of squeezing the little frog directly out of his mind. Why does this test have to do with Demon Shura? Because this test was placed by a person who was sealed by Demon Shura back then. He didn't die directly, because Shura Demon Lord surplus was already insufficient. When the little frog saw Yi Hongchen calm down, he continued. Then in this situation, how many people are still alive in the Azure Cemetery? Yi Hongchen's heart sank when he heard the words and asked hurriedly, if what the little frog said is true, then as long as those old monsters survive 2 or 3, wouldn't it be difficult for them who came in to fight for opportunities to survive? I can't tell you this clearly. Maybe there's only one old monster. Maybe there are 1 or 2. The little frog heard this. His eyes became extremely solemn. Yi Hongchen just wanted to continue to ask the little frog, but a black air current suddenly appeared behind him. Little frog, don't ruin the good deeds of the old man. Otherwise, when the old man goes out, you will be crushed. A voice full of killing intent came from that black energy, and it was accompanied by a burst of mental power. Fortunately, Yi Hongchen was prepared early this time, and coupled with his spiritual power, he also broke through the golden core stage pill formation realm. So this time he did not feel the turbulence of his soul. Come on, this great god is here. Have the ability to thwart this great god. Yi Hongchen hadn't spoken yet. The little frog he was holding in his hand actually spoke first, and even directly ridiculed. The black air seemed to tremble slightly. It should have been annoyed by the little frog's words, but it seemed to be confined by that kind of restriction, and he couldn't break free. Little Wawa, if you can help the old man lift the seal, the old man promises you one thing. At this time, that voice full of majesty entered Yi Hongchen's ears, and the words were full of inducements. I don't promise him. Boy, do you know how cruel he is? Even a baby was never let go before he was alive. He was incarnation of a black flood. Before Yi Hongchen finished speaking, the little frog in his hand suddenly became anxious for fear that Yi Hongchen would really try to crack the seal formation. At that time, the first unlucky person is definitely not Yi Hongchen, but at this moment, it has been competing with this black flood for no less than 1,000 years. Fart. Little frog, don't slander the old man. When did the old man start at the baby? There was a voice in the black breath, and the words were all angry. Obviously, the little frog's words made him very angry. Look, you see, he didn't act on the baby. He meant that he had acted on someone other than the baby. Chapter 0181. Promised to help break the seal. Look, you see, he didn't act on the baby. He meant that he had acted on someone other than the baby. When he heard the words coming out of the black air, the little frog's eyes showed a smug look. This is what he is waiting for. You. The old man didn't mean that. Little doll, please relax. As long as you help me to remove the seal, then I will give you whatever you want. It seemed that he knew that talking to the little frog would only get darker and darker. So he directly put his hope on Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen lowered his head slightly when he heard the words. His eyes were full of blue light, making it hard to understand his thoughts. Okay, I can let you out, but you also have to promise me one thing. 2 minutes later, Yi Hongchen raised his head, looked directly at the black air, and said lightly, BD, you are not so confused by the benefits, are you? You just agree to it? Tell you, it has no credibility. Seeing that Yi Hongchen promised to help the black Jiao to lift the seal, the little frog's eyes were about to stare out, and he hurriedly reminded. He tried to make Yi Hongchen not believe the black keywords, so that he would not help to lift the seal. It's a pity that Yi Hongchen ignored it, and even pinched it in his hand, only revealing a slightly fat little head. If you can promise me this condition, then I will help you get out of trouble. Yi Hongchen said flatly, looking at Heike with plain eyes. Okay, tell me, what is your condition? The voice in the black breath was extremely refreshing. After I rescue you, you will be my bodyguard for 5 years. Yi Hongchen stretched out a hand with all fingers open and said seriously, What? Bodyguard? This is too inconsistent with the old man's principles, right? How is it different from being trapped here now? Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, the voice in the black air could no longer be calm. It was almost swearing. 5 years are not much. After all, compared with the time you stayed here, it is a drop in the bucket. And in the past 5 years, I will not restrict you. You can still go play, but when my life is in danger, I need you to help me. Yi Hongchen walked a few steps forward, as if he was not afraid of the black air in front of him. In his words, he was full of self-confidence. It seemed that this black Jiao only had to accept Yi Hongchen's condition, and he still had to accept it. Okay, I promise you. The voice in the black breath seemed to hesitate and finally said fiercely. After speaking, Heiki wanted to take Yi Hongchen to the area on the right where the black flag was inserted. Wait, there is nothing to say about it. Just in front of me, take an oath of heaven. Yi Hongchen remained motionless and continued to speak towards the black energy in front of him. The oath of heaven, that is the real oath. Once you say it, as long as you violate it, a thunder penalty will be imposed. It is said that thunder was able to appear only when crossing the catastrophe that day. Okay, Long Xing vowed to Tiandao. If so, what's your name? Heiki stopped here and asked Chao Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen didn't hide it, and it was unnecessary anyway. Yi Hongchen, dog thief. Let go of this great god. I don't want to be frustrated by this dark thing. Hurry up. The little frog, who was held by Yi Hongchen in his hand and turned his back behind him, immediately yelled when he heard what Yi Hongchen said. Okay, Long Xing vowed to heaven. If Yi Hongchen can lift the formation that sealed my Long Xing, he will follow him for 5 years. If there is any violation, please do not hesitate to come. Long Xing's words had just fallen, and Yi Hongchen only felt that there was something connected in the heavens and the earth. Chapter 0182. 38 iron chains. It seemed that as long as that Long Xing dared to violate it, the heavens would descend from the sky and blast it into scum. Okay, then what should I do next? Yi Hongchen nodded in satisfaction, with some questions. After all, the formation that can trap this kind of existence. How can he break the ant of the golden core stage and the cultivation base of the pill-holding stage? You just need to walk to this black battle flag, pour spiritual power into it, and you can come in. When the words were over, the black air floating in front of Yi Hongchen suddenly dissipated, as if it got into the black battle flag. Boy, if you really let it go, this great god will not save his life. Yi Hongchen hadn't moved yet. A pain came directly from the hands behind her back, and then the little frog's voice, full of grief, suddenly sounded. Yi Hongchen brought the little frog to the front, smiled faintly, and said jokingly, "Don't worry, you are so cute. I won't let you die." Just as Yi Hongchen said, he will not let the little frog die. At this moment, where can you see a frog who can speak human words but still can't feel the slightest cultivation level? This little frog must be exceptional, and he will naturally not let it die. What? Do you think this great god is cute? Can that be called cute? That is. Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, the little frog's big eyes suddenly jumped up and down, and before he could finish speaking, he was flicked by Yi Hongchen. It was thrown on the high platform, and it seemed that there were 5 pointed stars on his head. Okay, Yi Hongchen unexpectedly dared to throw this great god. The little frog stood on the high platform, as if half drunk, standing unsteadily, stumbling. Yi Hongchen ignored the little frog, walked straight to the black battle flag, stretched out his hand, and placed it on the battle flag. A ray of blue and red light appeared on Yi Hongchen's hand, crossing the black battle flag. At the next moment, a burst of black air appeared from the black battle flag, which was directly wrapped around Yi Hongchen's body, pulling him into the battle flag all at once. Yi Hongchen's vision suddenly changed, with 38 black chains shackling a middle-aged man to death. The middle-aged man was dressed in black, all shabby, and it seemed that he had been around for a long time. What attracts Yi Hongchen most is that the middle-aged man's head has a pair of black pointed horns that seem to be antlers. Little Wawa, have you seen these 38 black chains? The middle-aged man looked up, and there were still a few black fringes on his face. After hearing the middle-aged man's words, Yi Hongchen nodded slightly and said, "Senior Long Xing, I saw it. There's a black gloom at the source of these 38 black chains, as long as you can hit 38 gloomy lights at the same time, and the damage can reach the level of destroying them. Then this damn formation can be broken." Long Xing looked at the black iron chain locked on his body, with resentment in his eyes. Hearing that, Yi Hongchen swept away with a few black iron chains, and sure enough, at the other end, connected to Long Xing's body, there was a surprise. The black gloom is shining. Not only this black iron chain, but the entire 38 chains are in this position. Okay, let me try. The Shura ring in Yi Hongchen's hand suddenly lit up with a red light, and the blue star sword appeared in his hand. The 5 small blue pits, like stars, all emitted a burst of blue light, and the sword body was trembling slightly. "Come here." Yi Hongchen pierced out with a sword, and 38 blue sword auras flew out suddenly and flew directly toward the iron chain. Chapter 0183. Test the adaptability of the 38 chains. 38 blue sword auras all hit 38 shining iron chains at the same time. Bang! 38 gloomy lights were directly destroyed by sword ki, and there were still 17 places left. After going away, within 2 seconds, the 21 places that were destroyed by Yi Hongchen lit up again. When Yi Hongchen saw this, he was a little surprised and muttered, "This level of power hasn't been defeated yet, but on the contrary, it can be restored again." He has already used nearly 90% of the strength of these sword auras, but in the end there is still so much left, and he has recovered. What should he do? "Yi Shaohua," the old man said, "there's no way if the strength is different, such as being too strong. And at the same time, if it can't be broken all over, it will return to its original state." When Yi Hongchen was thinking, Longxing's majestic voice directly penetrated into his ears. Longxing raised his head, the black pupils in his eyes dimmed slightly, and sighed. "This kind of formation is extremely demanding on people. You have to use your strength and attack differently. Even before me, it was difficult to do it." Of course, Longxing did not say the last words, for fear that it would hit Yi Hongchen and make him lose hope of breaking the formation. In other words, the attack power must be moderate, and different attack powers must be used. Yi Hongchen's eyes lit up, and he immediately understood the meaning of Longxing's words. Hearing this, Longxing nodded slowly, just about to say something more. Yi Hongchen directly suspended the star sword in front, and 17 blue long swords appeared on his head. At the next moment, the long swords from the 17 phantoms flew directly towards the gloomy light that hadn't been broken before. Bang! 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 17 blue long swords passed through 17 black gloomy places, and 10 more disappeared, leaving only 7 places. But because they did not disappear at the same time, the 10 places that had disappeared recovered. "This little baby, are you trying to figure out where the strength you can bear? Unfortunately, even if you can figure it out, it will be in vain if you can't achieve that level of distraction." Upon seeing this, Longxing shook his head secretly in his heart, forgetting that at this moment he was still counting on Yi Hongchen to help him break the formation. Bang! As Longxing wandered secretly in his heart, Yi Hongchen once again struck out 7 blue long swords, piercing 6 more gloomy lights, and it became dim. Only 1 place left. When Yi Hongchen saw this, he was happy in his eyes and did not use Jianyu again. At this moment, Jianyu's martial arts consumed spiritual power, but it is extremely terrible. Holding directly on the star sword in front of him, he drew a blue sword aura at random and rushed to the last gloomy light. Call! The sword ki hit the gloomy light, and it split directly, and then dissipated as if it had hit something hard. Intensity is not enough, Yi Hongchen said lightly, and pierced again with his sword. The blue sword energy passed directly through the dark light at the corner of the iron chain, but the dark light did not change a single minute. "It's too strong again." Yi Hongchen felt helpless when he saw this. At this moment, his sword was only slightly stronger than the previous one. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be too strong. This dim light caused Yi Hongchen a headache, and the faint blue light on his body disappeared. Instead, there was a faint red light, which made Yi Hongchen seem to have a sense of murderous sight. Swing his sword. A bloody sword aura suddenly passed through the last black gloom, and the gloom that had plagued Yi Hongchen many times disappeared directly. It's a success. Yi Hongchen's eyes were full of joy when he saw the faint light returning to its original state. Chapter 0184. Frightened Longxing because Yi Hongchen finally figured out all the adaptability of these 38 dark lights. Slowly closing his eyes, recalling which gloomy light he had attacked earlier, Yi Hongchen wrote them all down. Taking out the spirit pill from the storage ring, Yi Hongchen sat down again and began to recover the spiritual power in the golden pill. After all, even if Long Xing made the oath of heaven, if he happened to have a way to evade the oath, he would just kill him. There are also some qualifications to escape. Although his thought may be a bit redundant, it was necessary for Yi Hongchen. His life is more precious than anyone else. But when Long Xing saw that Yi Hongchen suddenly stopped moving, but began to regain his spiritual power, the expression on his face couldn't help but stagnate. Well, you little baby, the old man has made the oath of heaven, and he is still so worried. Senior, don't worry. You have been trapped here for a long time. After all, it won't be a problem for a while. Yi Hongchen didn't open his eyes when he heard Long Xing's words, but just said a little. Yi Hongchen's words immediately made Long Xing speechless. After all, it was exactly what Yi Hongchen said. Even if he was trapped for a while, he didn't feel much. When Yi Hongchen recovered his spiritual power, he was in the second test. Yi Lingyun, Mo Ran, Ning Shui, Yun King Shui, and others in the costumes of the core disciples of Juechen Palace just rushed to the center of the stone statue. They haven't reached the golden core stage, so they can't fly over like Yi Hongchen. They can only fight over. Even Yi Bufan didn't know where he found the scarlet dagger again and came to the second test level. Moreover, his extremely flexible posture made him feel like a fish in the stone statue formation. The fellow practitioners were strong Yi Lingyun, and Mo Ran was even. Even the first genius of the first-class forces can't catch up with Yi Bufan, who is just in the Qi Gang realm. This kid is a bit evil. Mo Ran looked at Yi Bufan, who was about to pass him, and swept forward, and his expression sank. In the next moment, an emerald green light gathered in his hand, and he slapped the stone statue beside him with a palm. The stone statue flew upside down, and its direction was exactly the position of Yi Bufan. Coincidentally, Yi Bufan just rushed over a huge stone statue of a monster beast, and he also happened to jump on the head of the stone statue of a monster beast. The stone statue that was hit by Moran hit the monster stone statue under Yi Bufan's feet, and the power of the woman directly swayed Yi Bufan to the back. All at once opened the distance from Yi Lingyun, Mo Ran, and others, and reached the forefront. Mo Ran, have you been bought by an inner disciple? Yi Lingyun looked at Mo Ran with ugly eyes. Yi Hongchen opened his eyes, stood up, released the star sword in his hand, and once again suspended the star sword in front of him. At the next moment, 21 blue long swords appeared above Yi Hongchen. The blue light on the star sword flashed again, and 10 long swords with lighter colors appeared above him again. This was not over yet. The sound of swords rang from the star sword again, and the 7 extremely deep blue long swords appeared again. In the next moment, the light blue spiritual power on Yi Hongchen's body gradually turned into light red spiritual power. A blood-colored long sword appeared at the top of the blue long sword that was transformed like a leading sword. This little baby, shouldn't it, really, can it? Seeing this, Long Xing deliberately sensed the 38 phantom long swords on Xia Yi Hongchen's head, suddenly a little stunned. Thinking of this, Long Xing's heart could not help but a little moved. The formation was broken, and he was able to leave this ghost place that had trapped him for thousands of years. Chapter 0185. Breaking the seal, no matter what Long Xing felt at this moment, Yi Hongchen's mind was where each sword had fallen on the black gloom of the iron chain. Okay, the positions are all right. After checking once, Yi Hongchen's mouth raised. It was thanks to his mental power that he had risen to the golden core stage. Otherwise, it would take a little longer to remember this all at once. Xin Yuekui. Whirring. Following the movement of Yi Hongchen's thoughts, the phantom sword suspended above him flew towards the black, gloomy light at the beginning of the chain. Boom, boom, boom. Boom at the same time, a sound of fragmentation entered Yi Hongchen, Long Xing's ears. At the next moment, all the black gloom at the iron chain disappeared without reappearing. It's a success. Upon seeing Long Xing, Yi Hongchen raised these 3 characters in his heart. The difference is that Yi Hongchen felt it was expected, while Long Xing's was a little unbelievable and was ecstatic after getting out of trouble. On the high platform, When Yi Hongchen was regaining his spiritual power, the little frog fell asleep. Hearing the loud noise, he stood on his feet. A pair of wide-open eyes pointed towards Yi Hongchen and Longxing's position. My mother, this old black Jiao, is going to get out of trouble? It's a big deal. My life won't be saved. I have to run away. Seeing that the black on the black battle flag gradually faded and began to turn white, the little frog was suddenly shocked, and he didn't even say the title of the great god. Crying and lying on the corner of the high platform, a stone that was taken out from unknown place was placed in front of it. Next, what else to do? Yi Hongchen said lightly while looking at Longxing, who was still chained. The Xingqian sword was carried behind him, and the blue light filled the sword body, extremely powerful. Little Wawa, you don't need to do anything. Next, it's up to me. Longxing lowered his head and said in a deep voice. What he said made Yi Hongchen feel a little harsh. In the next moment, an extremely powerful coercion broke out from Longxing's body. A terrifying aura rushed to Yi Hongchen, and the star sword that Yi Hongchen was carrying suddenly pierced out. A ray of red and blue light appeared in front of Yi Hongchen, forming a circular enclosure, enclosing him. That terrifying aura was immediately cut off by Yi Hongchen's red and blue gas mask. Ha ha ha. Longxing, I am finally about to see the sun again. A burst of wild laughter came from Yi Hongchen. The next moment, a burst of black energy rushed out, and all the buildings and stones within the battle flag cracked and shattered in a single moment. No, if this goes on, even if you can resist this momentum, it will end up like this collapsed, shattered ground. When Yi Hongchen saw this, his heart suddenly became anxious, and the next moment, a sword quickly pierced out. Wind wave swordsmanship, open flow style. Unprecedented. A red and blue sword aura appeared in front of Yi Hongchen, cutting off an inexplicable force. This is the first time that Yi Hongchen has used the red and blue spiritual power in the golden core, which is usually a single type. Light as a swallow. After a sword stabbed, Yi Hongchen moved his feet, and his whole body immediately rushed to the sky, sinking into a black light above. What came from the ear was still Longxing's burst of laughter, causing Yi Hongchen's heart to set off violent waves. There is even such a powerful force. Call. Yi Hongchen, wearing a red and black armor, flew directly from the battle flag and landed on the high platform. He was gasping for breath in his mouth, as if he had just spent a lot of effort. Chapter 0186. Name Shaoqing. Don't kill me, don't kill me. Brother Heijiao, no, Brother Heilong. Great God Heilong, don't kill me. Previously, it was small with eyes and no beads, offended, and dashed against the black dragon god, You will not remember the villain. Please forgive me. Just as Yi Hongchen was gasping for breath, a panicked voice suddenly came. Yi Hongchen looked for the source of the sound, and soon saw a big rock with a small green head behind it. He took the big rock off without annoyance, and a very petite and sleek little frog appeared directly in front of him. The black dragon god has something to say. Don't move. Feeling that the big stone in front of him was removed, the little frog closed his eyes, and his words were full of fear. Even the body was trembling. Obviously, it was enduring the fear in its heart. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchen directly rewarded the little frog with 3 chestnuts and said with a smile, Don't look at who is calling for mercy. The little frog was originally knocked by Yi Hongchen 3 times without moving, but after hearing Yi Hongchen's voice, he suddenly raised his head. There seemed to be a red glow in his eyes, and a mouth that was almost proportional to his face was opened wide. Yuan come yes you this shao ye baby. The little frog stared at Yi Hongchen fiercely, shouting word by word. As soon as the voice fell, the little frog flicked his feet on the ground, and his small body flew directly towards Yi Hongchen. I want revenge. When the little frog thought that it was so humble in front of Yi Hongchen just now, he really wanted to find a place to dig into it. The more I thought about it, the more angry he got, and he kicked Yi Hongchen fiercely, the speed even Yi Hongchen could only see about it. It's a pity. Even if you can only see a rough idea, it is enough for Yi Hongchen. The right hand was raised randomly, and with a squeeze, a green figure suddenly appeared in Yi Hongchen's hand in the next second. It was the figure of that little frog. Let go of this great god, brat boy. Dare to touch the precious body of this great god with your dirty hands. The little frog that was caught by Yi Hongchen was very unconvinced and shouted at Yi Hongchen, "Just like your toad, you still call yourself a great god? It's really not boring." After Yi Hongchen finished speaking, he put the little frog directly on his left shoulder. The next moment, a blue light appeared on the little frog's feet, directly confining it to his shoulders. "I will call you Xiaoqing from now on. Remember to answer me," Yi Hongchen said beyond doubt. Boom. Little frog, no. If Xiaoqing didn't return to Yi Hongchen, a black wind suddenly appeared from the black battle flag. The next moment, it was originally a black battle flag, but now the white battle flag has been dusted. As if black was completely eliminated, only a blank space was left. Yi Hongchen only felt that a burst of black air appeared in front of him, and the next second, a force of oppression suddenly struck. Before he could think about it, Yi Hongchen swung his sword directly, and a red and blue sword light appeared in front of his eyes. Bang! However, a terrifying force rushed towards Yi Hongchen, and Yi Hongchen couldn't resist it at all, and was directly rushed to a black wall by this force. Even the wall broke through a small hole, and Yi Hongchen was shocked. On the high platform, the three black sharp claws stopped at the place where Yi Hongchen was originally, and the master of the claws was a black monster. The shape is a little different from that of a dragon, and the black scales on its body are like a reduced version of the thorns on a hedgehog. Chapter 0187. The missing place of the body is extremely slender. Yi Hongchen can't see where its tail is at all, and it is staring at Yi Hongchen with a pair of thick eyes. Long Xing, what do you want to do? Yi Hongchen slipped from the wall, and nearly 100 red and blue phantom long swords suddenly appeared beside him. That's right, this monster, that is Jiao, is Long Xing, who was rescued by Yi Hongchen. The old man didn't want to do it, just want to throw that little reptile on your shoulders to ashes. Long Xing's body moved and flew directly in front of Yi Hongchen, with a pair of jet black eyes looking at Yi Hongchen straight. Yi Hongchen didn't have the slightest fear, and followed Long Xing to stare at each other, but his heartbeat accelerated involuntarily. Black! Xiaoqing wanted to jump up when he heard Long Xing's words. It's a pity that its feet have been confined by Yi Hongchen, and he hasn't said the second word yet, and Yi Hongchen also directly blocked its small mouth with one hand. Long Xing, this Xiaoqing is already my pet. If you want to kill it, sorry, no, Yi Hongchen said lightly while looking at the black Jiao with a pair of blue eyes. Although the tone is all indifferent, the meaning in the words is extremely obvious. When Xiaoqing heard Yi Hongchen's words, he nodded quickly, even moving his eyes up and down, as if to say again, what he said is true, you can't touch me, really can't touch me. Do you think the old man is discussing with you? Tell you, anxious old man, the old man will kill you. Hearing this, Long Xing suddenly became furious, and his mind was full of scenes of how Xiaoqing angered him and how he scolded him in the past. Sure enough, you are not afraid of the oath of heaven, are you? Yi Hongchen's eyes were full of cold light, and he did not expect that he was actually deceived. No, I was deceived by an animal. The oath of heaven? Ha ha ha! Didn't you find out? The oath of heaven was not triggered at all, which means that you didn't rescue the old man at all. After Long Xing heard this, his whole body began to shrink, and he returned to a middle-aged man, who was 1.8 meters tall and wore a shabby black robe. The black lines on his face are still terrifying. How is it possible? I have clearly lifted the restriction for you. How? Yi Hongchen was a little disbelief. At the end, the face under the mask suddenly sank. That's right, he did help Long Xing lift the restriction of the iron chain, but he didn't help him break the iron chain. It was all by Long Xing himself. Then, the oath of heaven can completely believe that this is because he has not been rescued. So the oath issued by Long Xing cannot be taken seriously. When Long Xing heard that Yi Hongchen didn't say the last words, his face suddenly showed a smile, and said with a smile, "What? Little baby, did you think of anything? You are really mean." Yi Hongchen said coldly after a while. The next moment, the red and blue phantom swords around him rushed towards Long Xing. When Long Xing saw this, It seemed that in order to give Yi Hongchen a sense of oppression, he didn't avoid it, but stood in place. Let Yi Hongchen's red and blue magic sword pierce him. Little Wawa, with your cultivation base in the golden core stage embracing core realm, you can't hurt the old man at all. After blocking the 99 red and blue magic swords, Longxing looked at Yi Hongchen with a little triumph. But in front of me, there was no trace of Yi Hongchen, completely disappeared. When the red and blue magic sword flew towards Longxing, Yi Hongchen had already used his body as light as a swallow to slip away. Damn it! How do you get out here? Yi Hongchen ran away and didn't know how far. As the darkness in front of her eyes was still dark, she couldn't help but mutter. Sai, go out from the left. Chapter 0188. I think it's you want to die, Xiao Yiwa. Run from the left. After hearing Yi Hongchen's murmur, Xiaoqing above his left shoulder said suddenly, Okay, just believe you once. Yi Hongchen replied when he heard Xiaoqing's words, moved his feet, changed direction, and swept to the left. After all, he didn't have any other ideas. He could only use Xiaoqing as a dead horse as a living horse doctor. It's a pity that there is still darkness ahead, and there is no exit at all. Yi Hongchen really doesn't understand how he got here. Xiaoqing, are you kidding me? It's still the same situation. Yi Hongchen looked at Xiaoqing on his left shoulder with unkind eyes. Xiaoqing felt Yi Hongchen's gaze, and her little body couldn't help but tremble, and said, You just listen to me, go on, keep running. If the old black dragon catches us, we will all be cold. You don't need to say more. Yi Hongchen knocked on Xiaoqing and said angrily, Little Wawa, do you think your speed can be faster than that of the old man? Just as Yi Hongchen wanted to speed up, Longxing's voice came directly from behind, and he couldn't help turning his head slightly. At this moment, Longxing, dressed in a black robe, seemed to merge with the dark night, and his hands became extremely sharp, like claws. If he didn't take the initiative to speak, I'm afraid Yi Hongchen would not be able to spot him at all. Boom! At the next moment, I saw Longxing stretch out his hand and hit Yi Hongchen with a vicious claw. A black claw shadow appeared directly in front of Yi Hongchen and grabbed it on his back. Yi Hongchen didn't say a word, turned around quickly, swung the star sword, and swung it towards the black paw shadow. Bang! The red and blue rays of light gathered on Yi Hongchen's star sword and actually resisted this black claw. Break! Yi Hongchen said lightly. The next moment, the hand holding the sword suddenly exerted force, and a red and blue sword suddenly appeared on the black paw. Boom! The claw was cut in half and disappeared into the darkness. A red and blue sword gas continued to appear in front of Yi Hongchen, and they flew towards Longxing together. Sword Ki passed through Longxing's body, but Longxing did not change at all, but continued to fly towards the back until there was a loud noise. Longxing escaped easily. Little baby, it's not bad. Although the old man has not recovered to 40% of his strength now, your ability to follow is enough to prove your talent. Longxing looked at Yi Hongchen with affirmation and a trace of fear in his eyes. Of course, it was not fear of Yi Hongchen's strength, but of his talent. Well, if you hand over this little frog, the old man will let you go, and you will still obey the vows of heaven that the old man issued earlier. How? Longxing put his hand on his chin. The black lines on his face were so strange, but he smiled. Yi Hongchen glanced at Xiaoqing on his left shoulder. Xiaoqing only felt that sweat appeared on his head. Just when Xiaoqing thought that Yi Hongchen would compromise Longxing and gave it to the old black Jiao, Yi Hongchen spoke. Yi Hongchen always said that one is one, and it never changes, so Xiaoqing will never give it to you. Yi Hongchen touched the star, sword to the ground, and said lightly, So, do you want to die? Longxing's smile gradually solidified, and a murder intent appeared directly on him. Call. The next moment, a burst of black energy surrounded him, and even the appearance of this black energy could affect a gust of wind, and the cloak behind Yi Hongchen screamed, Dead? I think it's you who wants to die. Chapter 0189. Time is urging people to grow old. Death? I think it is you who want to die. Yi Hongchen said coldly when he heard the words. Ha ha ha. Good, good. I want to see. What do you have to make the old man die? Longxing was angry. In his opinion, he had already stepped down Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen didn't give him face. In that case, he could really kill Yi Hongchen. When Long Xing started his hand, Yi Hongchen slowly closed his eyes and even put away the star sword in his hand. Oh, little Wawa, are you waiting to die? Fortunately, you are still somewhat self-aware. Seeing this, Long Xing sneered at the moment he wanted to do it. Don't you think that people who talk too much are destined to do no big things? Yi Hongchen said coldly. In the next second, the closed eyes opened suddenly. A pair of azure blue eyes turned into gray at this moment, as if they had lost all their hues, like the abyss. Immediately afterwards, in front of Yi Hongchen, all the colors suddenly changed. The places that were originally black are all gray-white at the moment. Even the black robe on Long Xing's body, or even Long Xing's body, all are off-white. A terrifying oppressive force oppresses Long Xing. The body began to twist. What? Long Xing couldn't hold it for a few seconds, and a scream came from his mouth. In the next moment, Long Xing, who was transformed into a human form, directly revealed his body, the black jiao. But the black color only appeared just after the body was transformed, and in the next second, the black color on its body completely disappeared. Instead, they're the same as the colors around them, all of which are off-white. The huge body was crushed to the ground so hard that it could not move at all, making it extremely horrified. What's going on? What kind of power is this power? And why does it make me feel the fear? Long Xing, who had turned into a dragon's body, couldn't get rid of this oppressive force no matter how hard he struggled, and couldn't help but roar wildly. This is my power, fear. Yi Hongchen heard this, her gray eyes filled with murderous intent. This power was compressed by the system in Yi Hongchen's eyes, the sky's 30% colorless power. Even if it is only 30%, it is not the current Long Xing can resist. The only drawback is that Yi Hongchen can't use his colorless divine power to strangle it, because it simply doesn't work. The colorless divine power is used by the black dragon body of the sky to achieve the strongest divine power. His Yi Hongchen's body did not reach that strength. When the words fell, a white spear suddenly appeared in Yi Hongchen's hand, and a white dragon was carved on the spear body, which was lifelike. This is Beilonggun, the descendant of the Beilonggun owner? Not good. Although Long Xing could not move, he was able to speak. When he saw this, he was shocked. Beilong Spear Lord, that's a ruthless character. People give the title of discounted birthday star. The method of attacking the enemy is extremely terrifying. Everyone who fights him is terrified. If he is not careful, his lifespan is gone. And Yi Hongchen, as his descendant, would definitely do that trick too. Long Xing. Yi Hongchen's spear pointed at the black dragon, who was lying on the ground, and said coldly. The next moment, a cyclone appeared on Yi Hongchen. His unparalleled spear intent made him like an invincible general. Yi Hongchen stabbed out with a shot, and a long white dragon suddenly appeared in front of him, although it turned into grayish white in an instant. Long Xing knew very well that it was the master of the white dragon spear. Time marksmanship. Time makes people grow old. Chapter 0190. Yi Buffan's extraordinary time marksmanship. Time makes people grow old. Wow. Long Xing rushed directly to Long Xing. Although Long Xing avoided deliberately, he was suppressed by the colorless divine power in Yi Hongchen's eyes, completely unable to move. Boom! Changlong rushed into Long Xing's body and disappeared suddenly, and there was no change in Long Xing's body. It seemed that Yi Hongchen's attack just now was a tickling skill, and it was of no use at all. But Long Xing knew that it had already hit that trick. Gun rain. With a wave of Yi Hongchen's hand, red and blue spear phantoms appeared, all attacking Long Xing, who was lying on the spot. After the spear was completely dissipated, Yi Hongchen had already started his journey. Long Xing had just broken free from the oppression of the colorless divine power and had already lost him. Okay, Yi Hongchen, that old man will kill you completely. Let you not reach that level. Ye Hongchen, big bruturye. You are really my lucky star. I didn't expect you to be so loyal and didn't sell me. Don't worry, in the future, Big brother Yi will let me go east, and I will definitely not go west. My respect for Yi Hongchen is like the Yellow River. As Yi Hongchen is moving fast, Shaoqing on his left shoulder has been talking endlessly, wishing that Yi Hongchen is the only one in the sky. Okay, it's useless to say more. You might as well find an exit for me. Otherwise, you will really be roasted when he finds it. Yi Hongchen interrupted Xiaoking's words directly and said angrily, "Just for this little frog that looks very tasteless." He offended Longxing. Is it really worth it? Of course, whether it was worth it or not, Yi Hongchen would not regret it, because it was his own choice. It's there. It's there. After hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Shaoqing was silent for a while, and when she saw a gloomy light flashing in front of her that was darker than the surroundings, she said loudly. Yi Hongchen looked at the location that Shaoqing said, and saw the gloomy light, and immediately rushed towards it. It's hard to see the incomparable dim light. If it hadn't been pointed out by Shaoqing, I'm afraid Yi Hongchen would not have noticed it at all. Strike hard. After running closer, Xiaoking's voice came again, and Yi Hongchen pierced the Yoguang directly after hearing the words, and a white light appeared on the Bailong spear. Bang! A white light appeared in front of Yi Hongchen, and Yi Hongchen and Shaoqing on his shoulders all got into the light and disappeared here all of a sudden. The second test is Guanzhong. Yi Bufan had already come to the place of red light, but Yi Lingyun, Mo Ran, Ning Shui, and others were all thrown far away by him. Mo Ran, well, my cultivation base is similar to yours. I will definitely cut you under the sword. Yi Bufan glanced back at the ink stain that was passing through the pile of stone statues, as if he was swearing something. After speaking, he turned around and walked towards the red light, his back falling in the eyes of Yi Lingyun, Mo Ran, Ning Shui, Yin King Shui, and others. How ironic it was. Obviously, his cultivation is the weakest among the crowd, and being able to enter here is all classified by them as luck. However, he now left them all behind, becoming the first person to pass to the end. Just when the body in front of Yi Bufan sank into the red light, a white light suddenly appeared in the red light, extremely dazzling. In the next moment, Yi Bufan only felt that a sharp object hit his body and flew him out fiercely, as if his body had been pierced. Everyone was confused by this scene. Chapter 0191. Killing the protagonist, inexplicably everyone was stunned by Yi Bufan's body suddenly flying upside down. The next moment, a man wearing a red and black armor, a black cloak behind him, and a red and black mask on his face suddenly appeared in their eyes. There seemed to be a small green animal standing on the left shoulder of the man, holding a white spear, and stabbing Yi Bufan with a single shot at the moment, taking Yi Bufan away. Seeing such a strange situation, all the people who saw it couldn't help being stunned. In the next second, he shouted in unison, "Sura!" That's right, this person is indeed Yi Hongchen, who pierced the ghost light with a shot to the second test pass. But Yi Hongchen didn't expect that things went so coincidental. Just one shot passed, and Yi Bufan happened to be in that position. Then, he pierced Yi Bufan's body with another shot, piercing his body directly. That, Shaoqing, I seem to have killed someone? Yi Hongchen asked, Shaoqing on his shoulders, looking at Yi Bufan with a daunting look in front of him. Shaoqing heard the words, hugged fierce hands, nodded slightly, and said, "Yes, the person you killed doesn't look easy. He has great luck. He is bigger than you." Nonsense, he is the protagonist. Can it be bigger than me? Hearing this, Yi Hongchen wanted to roll his eyes a little, and the pupil color in his eyes had already returned to blue. Yes, it's you. Yi Bufan looked at Yi Hongchen wearing a red and black mask with disbelief in his eyes. What kind of hatred does he have with this Shura? Why is his luck so bad as soon as he meets him? At this moment, Yi Bufan was suspicious, as if Yi Hongchen was the creditor of his previous life. It needs to be repaid in his lifetime, and it is still the kind that has to be repaid. Yi Hongchen didn't answer, and quickly pulled the Bailong spear from Yi Bufan's body, leaving a little empty under his feet. The next moment, I came to Yi Bufan's front and landed fiercely on his dantian. Gun rain. When the spear moved, 120 red and blue phantom spears appeared in front of him. Before Yi Bufan fell to the ground, the phantom spears passed through his body like bullets. Boom! Yi Bufan was pierced with a spear on the ground, and the stone statue seemed to be able to sense the power of those spears, and had already given up an open space. So Yi Bufan didn't have any preparation, and a big hole was blown out abruptly. It was not over yet. The stone statues directly regarded him as a person who had broken into the formation, and quickly pierced a few large holes in him. Now, even if you have the protagonist's aura, you should be dead. Yi Hongchen muttered while looking at Yi Bufan, who was motionless in the cave. Well, this kid is indeed dead, and the luck from him seems to have begun to transfer to you. Xiaoqing heard the words, looked at Yi Bufan carefully, and finally nodded in agreement. You can still understand the luck? Yi Hongchen looked at Xiaoqing with a playful look and said lightly. Xiaoqing wiped a smug expression on her face and finally pointed to Yi Bufan underneath and said, the ring on his hand is a bit special. At least 30% of his luck has been absorbed by this ring. Yi Hongchen glanced intently and saw through the stone statue's a cyan ring on Yi Bufan's right index finger. Secretly said in his heart, it seems that Yi Bufan's golden fingers are like Grandpa. Call! Yi Hongchen moved his feet, and red and blue phantoms appeared behind him, directly above Yi Bufan's corpse. Go away. Chapter 0192. Get the protagonist's ring, go away. Seeing the 4 stone statues in front of him, Yi Hongchen said coldly. The next moment, quickly swinging the white dragon spear in his hand, a white light passed by, and the 4 stone statues were broken directly. Boom, 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 boom. After doing all this, Yi Hongchen came directly to Yi Bufan's side and took off the cyan ring on his hand. As Yi Hongchen smashed the 4 stone statues, the eyes of others were attracted again. After seeing Yi Hongchen's masterpiece, his thoughts were different. Seeing the ink stain of the red dust overnight, Ning Shui felt shocked in her heart. He has become stronger again. Regardless of other people, Yi Hongchen picked up the ring at the moment and put it in the Shura ring in his hand without checking it out for the first time. Call! At this time, after seeing that his 4 companions were all killed by Yi Hongchen at once, the other stone statues close to Yi Hongchen suddenly slew towards Yi Hongchen. You must leave here as soon as possible. Longxing is uncertain when he will show up. Thinking of this, Yi Hongchen put the Bailong spear into the storage ring and directly exchanged out the star sword. In the next moment, a huge red and blue sword energy flew forward from Yi Hongchen in an instant. Open flow. Boom. The stone statue in front of him couldn't resist Yi Hongchen's sword energy at all and was directly and completely shattered. Get off. Yi Hongchen randomly swung a sword behind him, and the stone statue that was killed at him had no resistance at all, and it shattered directly. He had broken through this stone formation before, just try to preserve his strength, so it seemed so difficult. But now, Yi Hongchen, who has exploded with all his strength in this stone statue formation, is like entering the realm of no one. Light as a swallow, Yi Hongchen moved his feet and moved with the red and blue sword aura, and there was no stone statue in front of him that could stop him. You are very strong. If the venue is not suitable, I am afraid I can't help but challenge you. When passing Yilingyun and Mo Rant's side, Yilingyun's eyes were full of fighting spirit. But Mo Rant didn't even have the courage to look at each other with Yi Hongchen, let alone speak. You are not my opponent, Yi Hongchen said lightly without giving Yilingyun any face. Well, boy, this great god can testify that you are not Yi. Hearing Yi Hongchen's words like this, Xiaoqing suddenly held up his chest. Unfortunately, the words were not finished yet, but Yi Hongchen's eyes stopped him. Soon, Yi Hongchen had come to the center of the stone statue. Ning Shui, Yin Qingshui, and the 9 geniuses in front of him had all seen him. Sura, where are you going? Ning Shui couldn't help but wonder when she saw Yi Hongchen, who was fast approaching herself. It was her shouting that caused her to be distracted by the battle, and the stone statues on the side would not let go of this opportunity and slashed at her directly. Torrential. Hum. The sound of a sword rang in Ning Shui's ear, and the next moment Yi Hongchen appeared directly, smashing the stone statue with a sword. He held Ning Shui's hand with one hand, moved her foot, and brought Ning Yue to Yun Qingshui's side, and swung his sword again. The stone statues surrounding Yun Qingshui were all shattered at the same time, and Yi Hongchen naturally grabbed Yun Qingshui's hand with one hand, leading the two of them behind red and blue Jianqi, and swept towards the front of the stone array. Let's go. There's a very terrifying existence in the third level. It is not suitable to stay here for a long time. Yi Hongchen couldn't help but explain the doubts in the eyes of Ning Shui and Yun Qingshui. After finishing speaking, he looked directly to his left shoulder with a cold eye, and as expected, Shao King suddenly showed a skeptical smile. Obviously, if he was slower, this guy would say something ridiculous again. Chapter 0193. Weeping Sex Self-Righteousness. Soon, Yi Hongchen took Ning Shui and Yun Qingshui to the front of the stone formation, but did not rush to the back again. Sura, why did you kill junior brother Yi? He is obviously about to pass here. Ning Shui hesitated for a while and asked towards Yi Hongchen. Although Yun Qingshui didn't ask, her eyes were full of curiosity. Ever since she knew that Shura was Yi Hongchen, she had focused on Yi Hongchen, so she didn't take the initiative to ask, even if she was curious. Shaoqing, how do you get out here? Yi Hongchen didn't answer, but instead looked at Shaoqing on his left shoulder. This question is really unanswerable. It can't be said that he seems to be a cannon fodder villain. Yi Bufan is the protagonist, right? Shaoqing pointed his mouth with both fingers, as if it couldn't speak now. Call. The next moment, a white flame suddenly appeared on Yi Hongchen's palm, and Yi Hongchen looked at Shaoqing with a smile. Although it was a smile, it fell in Xiqing's eyes, but it was extremely terrifying. It's easy. You just use your sword to draw in from the ground to the sky with your spiritual power. Under Yi Hongchen's meaningful smile, Shaoqing compromised and said, pointing to the floor in front of him. Yi Hongchen heard the words, and the Bai Ling's cold fire in his hand was instantly extinguished, and once again took out the star sword from the Shura Lord of the Rings. A ray of red and blue light appeared on him, and a sword pierced out and hit the ground. The next moment slid up quickly, and a white light appeared directly in front of Yi Hongchen. It was like a dawn, shining in the dark wooden house, and being pierced by the wood by Yi Hongchen and shining in. The next moment, a suction force came directly from the white light, sucking in the Yi Hongchen, Ning Shui, and Yun Qingshui in front of them. Mo ran, as well as the inner disciples of Juechen Palace, smashed out the stone formation with me, rushing to the barrier that Shura broke through. Yi Lingyun, who had been paying attention to Yi Hongchen, immediately shouted when he saw Yi Hongchen and Ning Shui after Yun Qingshui disappeared. Although they didn't understand why Yi Lingyun didn't want to move on, at this moment, after more than 10 meters, Yi Lingyun would reach the red light behind the formation. But they didn't ask much, and after nodding their heads, they all turned around and started to kill in the opposite direction. Master, do we want to go back too? After seeing the movements of Yi Lingyun and Juechen Palace and others, a disciple of the Elephant Sect asked the muscular man who showed his muscles. They must have thought that the precious things in the palace had been taken away by Shura, so they had to retreat. As everyone knows, there may be many good things in it, and Shura can't finish it at all. Hearing this, the muscular man said with a face of disdain, and after blasting back the two stone statues with a punch, he continued, "Don't worry about them. Continue to rush in. You know, even the unimportant things inside are extremely valuable if you get them outside." Yes, big brother. The 8th area, the center, a blood-colored door appeared, and Yi Hongchen in a Shura armor, Ning Shui in white, and Yun Qingshui in a purple gown walked out of it. As soon as he appeared, Yi Hongchen felt a sudden in his heart. Before he could think about it, he directly slapped Ning Shui next to him with his sword and quickly grabbed Yun Qingshui's waist. When he moved his feet, he immediately left the place with Yun Qingshui. Boom! In the next moment, the original location of Yi Hongchen, Ning Shui, and Yun Qingshui suddenly became a gold nugget. The cause of this gold nugget was surprisingly 3 golden little monsters, which looked like tortoises but had no shells on their backs and golden needles on their tails. It was the monster that Yi Hongchen encountered in Sandcastle. Chapter 0194. They're afraid of spirit fire. It was the monsters that Yi Hongchen encountered in the desert castle. They just didn't expect them to come here at this moment. What kind of monster is this? And what about the people who gathered here before? Why are they all gone? Ning Shui looked at the golden needle-tailed monster in front of him, then glanced around, suddenly becoming a little dignified. How did these golden monsters run out? It's impossible. The golden spirits are already dead. They should be wiped out. Yi Hongchen hadn't spoken yet. Xiao Qing's eyes on her shoulders widened, as if she couldn't believe it at all. Do you know these monsters? Yi Hongchen asked Xiao Qing, questioning. Xiao Qing rolled her eyes and said, Nonsense, this great god has lived for so long. Is it true that this great god has lived in vain? Zura, what is this little frog? Yun King Shui was a little confused when he saw Yi Hongchen chatting with the green monster on his shoulder. If the monster can speak, the lowest is the nascent soul stage. Could it be that this little frog turned out to be a great demon in the nascent soul stage? Be careful. After seeing a burst of golden light rushing in front of him, Yi Hongchen took Yun King Shui to the left again. You stay here now. Be careful. After allowing Yun King Shui to hide behind a stone wall, a white dragon spear appeared in Yi Hongchen's hand, and his feet moved. Call! In the next moment, Yi Hongchen came directly to at least 10 golden demon in front of him and swept across fiercely. Boom! 10 golden monsters were swept by the white dragon spear and suddenly flew out, hitting a wall. Humbling, the 10 golden demon had nothing to do, but their eyes became extremely fierce. Looking at Yi Hongchen, they did not activate the golden needle tail behind him. Instead, he used his extremely weak body, smaller than a little frog, and charged towards Yi Hongchen. The rain of guns. Yi Hongchen said faintly when he saw it. The next moment, 10 phantom spears appeared in front of him, and they all greeted the 10 golden demon rushing over. Unexpectedly, those golden monsters saw the phantom spear but didn't have the slightest fear and directly raised their sharp claws and took it toward the phantom spear. Yi Hongchen felt that something unbelievable had happened. The 10 phantom spears he had turned into were actually crushed by these tiny golden monsters, and they didn't even receive the slightest damage. It looked like Yi Hongchen was tickling them again. So hard. Yi Hongchen saw this, and his eyes shrank slightly. Since his mental strength reached the Jindan stage, his vision was extremely powerful. Therefore, he can clearly see that after the phantom spear hits them, it is like stabbing an indestructible object directly shattering. Of course, this kind of golden demon, ordinary weapons can't get close at all, and can only use weapons up to the Emperor rank and spirit fire. Standing on Yi Hongchen's left shoulder, Xiao Qing raised her head suddenly, and once again played its superbrain. Just as Yi Hongchen and Xiao Qing were talking, the 10 golden demon had already killed them. When Yi Hongchen saw this, a burst of white arrogance suddenly appeared on his body, along with the white dragon spear he was holding. Since they are afraid of spiritual fire, it happens that I still have it in my hand. The white arrogance on Yi Hongchen's body is surprisingly the effect of Bai Ling's cold fire in his body. Call! When the words were over, Yi Hongchen directly faced the 10 golden monsters, relying on the skills he had learned during the battle against Spear Ling Haoyan, making him like a spear king. Every time a shot was shot, a golden demon was hit, and the next moment, without exception, was burned to ashes by Bai Ling on the white dragon spear. Hu. Chapter 0195. Preparing to leave the ruins. Hu. With the last shot of Yi Hongchen swept out, the 10 golden demon in front of him were all turned into ashes and scattered to the ground. Ning Shui, Yin King Shui, let's go. Yi Hongchen said, looking at Ning Shui behind him and Yun King Shui hiding behind the wall, because he knows that these golden monsters are definitely not so few. You know, the golden demon he encountered at that time were countless. Sura, wait for me. Ning Shui couldn't help but hurriedly followed Yi Hongchen, who was walking slowly with a spear in his hand. Yin King Shui also walked out from behind the wall and left with Yi Hongchen. After waiting for the center of the 8th area, Yi Hongchen, Ning Shui, and Yun Qingshui knew why there were so few people there. Because as soon as they walked out, the people standing in front were all young people, none of them over 20 years old. The only difference is that they are all golden, like golden men, standing, sitting, and lying down. Like a statue. Hey, are these people beaten like this by that kind of monster? Yun Qingshui murmured, his face pale when he saw it. Although she had cultivated for so long, this was the first time she had seen so many people died. But Ning Shui was much better than her. She was also a killer anyway. Let's go. These golden monsters are still there. Be careful. After Yi Hongchen reminded him, he directly released his spiritual sense and walked slowly toward the periphery. 300 meters in front of Yi Hongchen, on a deserted tall building, stood a man in a black robe with a black mask on his face. The moment Yi Hongchen released his spiritual consciousness, he felt the fluctuation of Yi Hongchen's mental power. Oh, Jean Danke's mental power. This kind of age is really rare. The black robe man murmured while looking at the golden ball on the palm of his hand. When the words fell, the black robed man slowly raised his head, and a burst of golden light lit up in his eyes. Yi Hongchen, Ning Shui, and Yun Qingshui all appeared in his eyes. Huh, the weapon in this kid's hand is the white dragon spear? He can actually get his inheritance here. Well, let's just let you go. So as not to let him lose the inheritor, it can be regarded as a compensation for pulling you to join the Azure Demon Slayer team. After seeing the white dragon spear in Yi Hongchen's hand, the black robe man immediately shook his head and placed his index finger lightly on the golden ball in his palm. A faint golden light emerged from the golden bead, and the next moment, the golden mist that originally surrounded the 8th area suddenly dispersed. Of course, only the golden mist in front of Yi Hongchen, Ning Shui, and Yun Qingshui was scattered. The three Yi Hongchen walked out of the 8th area without the slightest obstruction, and all of them were puzzled. Strange, why didn't you encounter the golden demon again along the way? Ning Shui was a little puzzled. Maybe they saw no one here, so they withdrew? Yun Qingshui also said uncertainly. Yi Hongchen shook his head slightly and said, "Don't think too much. Let's get out of this ruin as soon as possible. There is some danger here." Indeed, this place is indeed dangerous for Yi Hongchen, because there's an unstable factor like Longxing. When Yi Hongchen spoke, Ning Shui and Yun Qingshui nodded immediately and followed Yi Hongchen towards the first area. Only Xiaoqing on Yi Hongchen's left shoulder looked thoughtfully at the white dragon spear in his hand, and then turned to look at the 8th area. When, in the next moment, Xiaoqing directly suffered Yi Hongchen's own cruelty, and his eyes were full of grievances. "What are you doing?" Chapter 0196. A baby is worried about what are you doing? Xiaoqing held her small head in her hands. Her big eyes were full of grievances, and she looked at Yi Hongchen quietly. "Do you know how to get out of this ruin?" Yi Hongchen asked directly without talking nonsense. "Just follow what you said just now. Go to the first area. There's a portal there, don't you know?" Xiaoqing heard that this simple little problem caused it to be beaten again, and immediately said impatiently, "Do we have to know?" Yi Hongchen was taken aback for a moment. What does this mean? In 3 hours, 3 full hours, Yi Hongchen passed through 4 areas and took a shortcut to reach the first area. And he came by himself. And of course, there was also Xiaoqing who had been confined on his shoulders. On the way back, Yun Qingshui and Ning Shui both encountered the same fate as the red dust on the same night. With the help of Yi Hongchen, they all entered the golden light. I don't know when to come out yet. So Yi Hongchen left 2 yellow talisman papers directly and told them that he was leaving first. Longxing was looking for him anyway. Why is there nothing in this first area? Where can I find the door? Yi Hongchen stopped walking as he looked at the clearing. God Yi, try to look up to your head. Xiaoqing heard this and immediately looked at Yi Hongchen with a disdainful gaze and said lightly. Hearing Xiaoqing's words, Yi Hongchen slowly raised his head, and sure enough, above the gray sky, there was something similar in shape to his eyes. In the middle, there was a redstone gate. Obviously, the redstone gate was the way out. Yi Hongchen smiled awkwardly. He really didn't look closely just now. Rumble. Just when Yi Hongchen wanted to fly up, The ground suddenly shook. In the next second, the place under Yi Hongchen's feet was completely cracked, and an extremely sharp thing pierced from underneath. Yi Hongchen swiftly touched the ground, and his whole body soared into the sky. At the next moment, 52 red and blue phantom spears suddenly appeared in front of him. Gun rain. Bang, bang, bang. After releasing the gun rain, Yi Hongchen didn't even look back, but plunged directly into the blood-red stone gate. A flash of red light flashed through Sherman, and Yi Hongchen suddenly disappeared. Kilia Mountains, the center. It has been 5 days since Yi Hongchen and the others entered the ruins, and the people outside walked and scattered. Even the people in Juechen Palace only left an ordinary inner door elder. Obviously, the waiting days are boring in their eyes. While they were chatting, a red light suddenly appeared in the red pyramid in front. In the next moment, a tall figure suddenly appeared in front of them. He was 1.78 meters tall, dressed in red and black armor, and had a black cloak behind him. It looked like a general, holding a white spear in his hand. On the spear body, there's a lifelike white dragon depicted with a red and black mask on his face. People can't see his appearance, and this person is Yi Hongchen, who came out of the ruins. When I saw Yi Hongchen, everyone was shocked because when everyone went in, they weren't equipped with this suit. But now, Yi Hongchen has put on such a handsome and oppressive battle armor from time to time, so they're naturally attributed to the ruins. This genius, which force do you belong to? A middle-aged man walked up to Yi Hongchen and asked slowly with the unconcealed greed in his eyes. Chapter 0197. There is no reputation looking at the middle-aged man in front of him. A playful emotion appeared in Yi Hongchen's eyes. The mere pinnacle of the late congenital stage dared to show such a look in front of him. Thinking of this, Yi Hongchen couldn't help but shook his head secretly in his heart and said coldly, "He was born in grassroots, not enough." After speaking, Yi Hongchen immediately walked to the right. He had to get the scabbard when he returned to Heavenly Cloud Nation. Otherwise, he won't be able to use his sword-drawing skills, and he has lost a big killer move. Unexpectedly, the middle-aged man directly stood in front of him and blocked his way. Oh, it turned out to be a poor disciple. Why? What chance did I get when I went in, and I took it out and gave me half? Maybe I would let you into my glazed door. The undisguised greed in the eyes of the middle-aged man kept looking at the Shura armor on Yi Hongchen's body. Look, the shameless fellow Li Zhaoyi is threatening the young disciple again. No, all the poor disciples who came out these days have given him ordinary possessions. There are such robbers at the Luluman, and I am still an elder. It really makes me ashamed. After seeing Li Zhaoyi standing in front of Yi Hongchen and talking some whispers, the remaining elders started talking. The Luluman is just a sect of a second-rate force, and its force happens to be near the Kilia Mountains. It is precisely because of this that Li Zhaoyi dared to blackmail the poor disciples so blatantly. Seeing this, the inner door elder of Juechen Palace didn't say a word, not even the slightest change on his face. This world is like this. The weak eats the strong. The poor disciples are blackmailed. It is because they are too weak. Oh, Luluman? What kind of school is that? Why have I never heard of Shura? Yi Hongchen looked at Li Zhaoyi in front of him and became a little interested in playing with him. Boy, Lily Gate has never heard of it. It seems that you are not from the capital of Heavenly Cloud. I'm telling you, my Lily Gate is the overlord of the land here. Even if it is the king of the Heavenly Cloud Kingdom, you have to be polite to 3 points when you see my sect leader. Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Li Zhaoyi actually introduced Yi Hongchen to his martial art, seeming to be dissatisfied with Yi Hongchen's ignorance of his colored glazes. Only courtesy of 3 points? If I, Shura, go to the king of Heavenly Cloud Nation, he will bow to me. What kind of ghost school have you? You don't have any reputation. Yi Hongchen shook his head slightly, looked at Li Zhaoyi, and said, and he was still telling the truth. But Li Zhaoyi didn't believe it. Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, he gave the expression that you were dreaming. Oh, ye great God, just clicking with a single move. It keeps in front of me. It's smelly. Shaoqing very humanely pinched her little nose with her little hand and swayed her other hand slightly, as if she was sending a beggar. Looking for death. Li Zhaoyi immediately became angry when he heard Xiaoqing's words, and without thinking so much, he directly punched Xiaoqing on Yi Hongchen's left shoulder. But Xiaoqing didn't panic at all, didn't even look at him, with eyes facing the sky and nose facing the ground, as if it had nothing to do with him. Call. The next moment, a gust of wind passed through Li Zhuyi's ear, and his punch just hit Xiaoqing on Yi Hongchen's left shoulder. On the way, that Xiaoqing disappeared with Yi Hongchen and appeared directly behind Li Zhuyi. You have to kill as soon as you come out. Really a good start. Yi Hongchen shook his head slightly. The hand holding the white dragon spear suddenly swayed behind him, and the tip of the white dragon spear passed directly through Li Zhuyi's body. Li Zhuyi lay heavily on the ground. Chapter 0198, Star Sword with Scabbard Bang. Li Zhuyi lay heavily on the ground, eyes wider than Xiaoqing on Yi Hongchen's shoulders. Don't look down. Hey, even in the heavenly gang realm, I dare to come to trouble ye great god. I really don't know what to say. Xiaoqing sighed slowly, as if sorry for Li Zhuyi's death. After speaking, he gave his thumbs up, turned towards Yi Hongchen, and shouted, Yi Dashin is worthy of Yi Dashin. The strength is awesome. Yi Hongchen's stern face couldn't help breaking with Xiaoqing's words, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Since you have learned well now, then I don't have to imprison you. After Yi Hongchen finished speaking, the red and blue light on Xiaoqing's feet disappeared. You actually killed elderly. Aren't you afraid of death? Just when Yi Hongchen wanted to continue walking, the 5 teenagers immediately gathered around, and the leader shouted, Then you are afraid of death? Yi Hongchen heard the words, and with a stroke of the white dragon spear in his hand, dozens of phantom spears directly trapped them completely. Sweat suddenly appeared on their foreheads, and the hands holding the sword were shaking. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchen nodded in satisfaction, moving his feet, and his whole body rose up in front of so many people and disappeared before his eyes in an instant. This is really terrible. After Yi Hongchen left, the disciple of Lulaman dared to gasp for breath. I really felt like I was going to die just now, and they didn't want to do it again because of that feeling. Check. Who is this person? After witnessing Yi Hongchen casually killing an elder at the peak of the late congenital stage, people from other forces suddenly moved Xiao Jiujiu in his heart. Even the ordinary inner door elders in Juechen Palace paid some attention to Yi Hongchen. Tianyan country capital, blacksmith shop. One was wearing a white gown, holding a blue long sword in his hand, and wearing a silver mask on his face. Yi Hongchen stopped there. Compared with the pedestrians passing by here, Yi Hongchen suddenly appeared very outstanding, even if he couldn't see Yi Hongchen's true face. Boss, where's my scabbard? Yi Hongchen walked straight into the blacksmith shop and asked the tall man. The man was by the fire pit, holding a black sledgehammer, smashing it down one at a time, without knowing what he was doing. Behind the door, next to you, the man said without looking back. Yi Hongchen heard the words and opened the door directly. As expected, a blue scabbard appeared in front of him. The shape is all based on the blade of the star sword, with 5 five-pointed star concave points. Yi Hongchen put the star sword in and pulled it out at will. There was no obstacle at all. It was so easy to use. After placing the gold coin on the table, Yi Hongchen hung the star sword around his waist and walked straight out of the forge. Come out, he's out. Quick! I heard that this person's swordsmanship is extremely superb. Don't let him run away. Yi Hongchen had just walked out, and a sound suddenly came to his ears, almost thinking that he was talking about him again. After a closer look, he realized that it was not, but on the street in front of him, something seemed to be happening, and the guard were rushing there quickly. God, Yi, I said you want to join the fun? Xiaoqing still stood on Yi Hongchen's left shoulder, and couldn't help asking when he saw Yi Hongchen cast his eyes on the crowd ahead. Hilarious? You have to get together. Yi Hongchen replied faintly and walked directly up. The person who was stopped in front of Yi Hongchen was directly pushed aside by his spiritual power. What are you squeezing? Didn't you see so many people? Go back for me. Chapter 0199. Xiaoqing who teaches himself and pretend to be forced. What are you squeezing? Didn't you see so many people? Go back for me. Just as Yi Hongchen was about to come to the forefront, the person in front of him turned away and glared at him fiercely. The man is a bald head with a scar on his left eye, which looks very fierce. No way. I'm used to jumping in line. Yi Hongchen looked at the bald man and shrugged. It's the Yi great god, even talking so tugging. Shouting on his shoulder heard the words, eyes gleaming golden, as if he had learned something, and gave a thumbs up towards Yi Hongchen. It seems that you have not been educated by others. I will come today. When the bald man heard Yi Hongchen's remarks, he clenched his fists and said coldly. As a result, the words were not finished yet. Yi Hongchen directly hit his abdomen with a heavy punch. The bald man smashed forward fiercely like a thrown object. Originally, more than a dozen guards had surrounded a young man in black, but the bald man drove a few guards into flight. Suddenly, the black-clothed youth quickly stabbed out with a sword, relying on his own cultivation to reach the mid-innate level, and he forced back the guards of the acquired realm around him. The next moment, he slipped away from the gap made by the bald man, making the guards tremble with anger. Masters, no, it's not me. How could I fly over by myself, right? The bald man just stood up, and what caught his eye was the look in the eyes of more than a dozen guards trying to kill. Suddenly, the whole person was trembling and explained as if they were stunned. Seeing this, Yi Hongchen suppressed his smile, turned around, and just wanted to leave, but did not expect shouting on his shoulder to speak. Yes, it is impossible for him to fly over by himself. It is our masterpiece. Hearing Ziyeking's voice, the guards immediately cast their eyes on Yi Hongchen. The people standing next to Yi Hongchen were like avoiding plague, staying far away. Yi Hongchen, dressed in white, appeared directly in front of more than a dozen guards. You said what you said just now. The guard leader looked at Yi Hongchen and said coldly. The main thing is that shouting on Yi Hongchen's shoulders really makes people unexpected that he can speak. Why? You're not convinced? No way. I'm used to speaking like this. After Xiaoqing said this, she felt bright in her heart, and her body was shaking with excitement. It finally uttered Yi Hongchen's dragging words, and also remodeled it on its own. Yi Hongchen's face hidden under the silver mask turned black. After reaching out, he grabbed Xiaoqing in his palm and crumpled it into a ball in his hand. Take him. Hearing the words, the guard made a big move, and more than a dozen guards immediately surrounded Yi Hongchen. It prevents us from doing official business, but that is to be beheaded. Do you know? The guard leader walked to Yi Hongchen and said coldly, "Oh, just you guys. Still want to catch the person just now." Yi Hongchen casually put Xiaoqing with a swollen nose on his shoulders and said lightly, "What do you mean? It's not interesting. I just want to say that you are all rubbish, too weak and too weak." Hearing that Yi Hongchen humiliated them so much, the guards didn't need the command of the leader, and they all looked at Yi Hongchen with big swords. Yi Hongchen didn't even touch the star sword on his waist, moved his feet, quickly circled them, and punched randomly. In the next moment, all the city guards besieging Yi Hongchen all flew upside down, vomiting blood. Well, what's going on? Did you just see it? Chapter 0200. Black-clothed youth found. Well, what's going on? Did you just see it? Tianyan citizens, who had not left, couldn't help but wonder when they saw more than a dozen guards flying out altogether. In their eyes, Yi Hongchen just moved his hands, and the next moment, the guards surrounding him flew out. Like a conjurer, Yi Hongchen could not be seen approaching them at all. Do you dare to arrest? This is the capital of heavenly clouds. You have to think clearly. Upon seeing this, the guardian's eyes were full of horror, and he couldn't help but remind Yi Hongchen. Then dare to ask, what's wrong with me? It's the bald head that hinders you, nothing more. Yi Hongchen didn't even look at him, walked straight out of the crowd, and heard a flat voice. The corner of Yi Hongchen's mouth raised, stopped, and turned his head to look at the guard leader and said, "By the way, if you don't believe me, you can go to Luluman to find Li Ji. He is my master." It turns out to be from the Luluman. No wonder it is so arrogant. You know, our king was also a disciple of the Luluman when he was young. Yes, and I have heard of that Li Ji. He is indeed the inner door elder of Luluman, who has a high prestige in the door. When Yi Hongchen talked about the Liuli Gate, the eyes of the people next to him were straight, as if it was a great sect. When the guard leader heard Yi Hongchen's words, his face changed, and the next moment he turned around and looked at the bald man with fierce eyes. "You dare to hinder us from doing official business. You are too courageous, right? Come here. Take him to prison for me." Hearing the words of the guard leader, the guard who was beaten by Yi Hongchen and lying on the ground suddenly got up and rushed towards the bald man. It seemed that he was going to vent the anger on Yi Hongchen's body with a bald gun. Master soldier's misunderstanding. It's really a misunderstanding. The bald man did not expect that things would come back to him so quickly. His face changed suddenly. Misunderstanding? Do you still dare to say misunderstanding? A guardian dared to talk back when he saw the bald man, with a terrifying smile on his face. Forgive me. It's really a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? You're the one who hit. Mudun, your bald-headed grandpa was severely beaten. Let's see if grandpa doesn't beat you maimed. What? After seeing the guards rushing forward, Yi Hongchen slowly shook his head and walked out of the crowd. At this moment, no one dared to block Yi Hongchen's road, and all walked away, looking at him with awe. Xiaoqing, who was standing on Yi Hongchen's shoulders, saw it, regardless of his bruised nose and swollen face, with hands on his hips, brilliantly, and walked out with Yi Hongchen. When Yi Hongchen walked out about 2 blocks, he stopped slowly. The streets here are sparsely populated. It can be said that there are not many people. Even Yi Hongchen is a dead end. You caught me? A sweet voice came from behind Yi Hongchen, and a young man in black stood behind him. There are some delicate faces, a pair of eyes that are as dark as ink, and there are some patterns on the waist of the black shirt. It just looks a little short, with a visual observation of only about 1.65 meters. Compared with Yi Hongchen, it lacks a head. Are you the one being chased by those people? I don't know what's the matter with me. Yi Hongchen said lightly. Although it was a question, it was extremely affirmative. Under Su Qingling, I have seen this young man. Su Qingling held the black folding fan in his hand and arched his hands towards Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen didn't speak, but slowly put his hand on the hilt of the star sword at his waist. What's up? Chapter 0201. Xiaoqing is torn down again. Is there anything? Yi Hongchen said coldly, and a powerful sword intent suddenly appeared on him. But a gust of wind suddenly appeared in the field, blowing Yi Hongchen's white clothes and Su Qingling's black clothes hummingly. You don't need to get excited. Qingling came to you. One is to thank you for your previous move out of trouble, and the other is to make you a friend. Seeing Yi Hongchen's unkind behavior, Su Qingling immediately shook his head and explained with a smile on his face. Does Yi Dashin make friends if you want to make friends? Yi Hongchen hadn't spoken yet. Xiaoqing on his shoulder said immediately. Yi Hongchen did not stare at it this time, but continued to look at Su Qingling in front of him with plain eyes, because he couldn't see through this person's cultivation base. This could not help but make him a little wary. The only things that can make him unable to see through the cultivation base are those whose cultivation base is higher than him, or those who have special spiritual weapons on their bodies. Which category does this Su Qingling belong to? Oh, is this son's surname Yi? Yi of Yi. Seeing Xiaoqing talking, Su Qingling didn't feel the slightest surprise on her face. Yi Xingchen, the leaves of the leaves, the stars in the sky. Yi Hongchen's eyes rolled, and suddenly followed Su Qingling's words and said a pseudonym. Brother Yi, in order to express my gratitude, please go to Zuixinglu for a meal. Su Qingling nodded slightly, closed the fan, and made a pleased gesture. Brother Yi is afraid of Su Qingling, right? When Yi Hongchen hesitated, Su Qingling added again. Afraid? I'm afraid of everything, Yi Xingchen, but I'm not afraid of people. Yi Hongchen snorted when he heard the words and took the initiative to walk out of this way. It is undeniable that Su Qingling's words were very effective. Even if Yi Hongchen knew that this was a radical method, he still complied with it. Drunk Star Building, the 3rd floor. Yi Hongchen and Su Qingling sat in a prosperous room, and the table was full of food. There are several dancers dancing ahead, and a young musician in white clothes whose eyes are wrapped in white gauze. Young Master Yi, this drunken star building is the highest floor in the Sky Cloud Nation capital. The food is very delicious. You could try it. Yi Hongchen had just eaten a piece of meat that did not know which monster beast with his chopsticks, and Su Qingling, who was sitting in front, immediately looked at him with bright eyes. Well, it's okay. Yi Hongchen nodded and said, it's delicious, Can this snow deer meat still be done like this? It's crispy and loose like. Yi Hongchen had just finished speaking, and King had already jumped onto the dinner table at some point. After Yi Hongchen had eaten a piece of braised pork, he shouted out. Yi Hongchen didn't wait for it to finish. Grabbing it in the palm of his hand and lifting it to his eyes, a pair of azure blue eyes full of killing intent. King, is it so delicious? If it is so delicious, do you want to accompany this piece of meat and enter my stomach together? Looking at the murderous eyes in front of her, King closed her eyes in fright and forced herself to spit out the meat that she had just eaten from her mouth. Ahem, what kind of meat is this unpalatable? I didn't expect this kind of restaurant to have this kind of food. As King's words fell, Yi Hongchen dropped it on the table casually and looked at Su Qingling. At this moment, Su Qingling's eyes were wide open, and his mouth was pouting, as if trying to hold back a smile. It's okay, since young master Yi said that this dish is not good, then it is not good. Come, how about this wine? Su Qingling lifted up a pot of old wine on the table and poured it directly into his cup, just thinking about pouring a glass for Yi Hongchen. Young Master Su, please be straightforward. Chapter 0202. You are a flower-picking thief, Master Su. If you have something to say straight, you don't need to be circumspect. Before Su Qingling filled himself with wine, Yi Hongchen grabbed the jug directly and looked at him directly. Su Qingling looked at Yi Hongchen, who was wearing a silver face in front of him, and she was shocked and said with a smile, "Ha, I can't hide anything from Master Yi. I can see it all." Yi Hongchen curled his lips without leaving any traces. This can be seen by anyone with a discerning eye. That's it. Su Qingling is the illegitimate son of the patriarch of the Su family of the Sky Cloud Kingdom. Unexpectedly, before this entered Su's house, he provoked the guards and was charged with some unreasonable charges. Speaking of this, Su Qingling shook his head slightly. His face was full of loneliness, as if this matter made him a headache. Oh, what's the crime? It's just some acquired guardians. Yi Hongchen just filled himself with a glass of wine, and when he heard this, he was a little curious. Only King still concentrates on destroying the food on the table nonchalantly. Hey, the girl who is strong in the boudoir is called the thief of the flower. Su Qingling said this. Her ears were red, and she seemed a little embarrassed. Puff! The next moment, the wine in the mouth that had just been drunk by Yi Hongchen suddenly spurted out of his mouth. Su Qingling, who was sitting in front of Yi Hongchen, was sprayed with drink, and the red ears immediately recovered. Kai, the flower thief, Yi Hongchen said in horror with blue light in his blue eyes. I said it was a crime. The crime, Yi Gengji, look at my appearance. Do you need to pick flowers? Hearing Yi Hongchen yelling out so loudly, Su Qingling was really shocked, and she immediately covered Yi Hongchen's mouth with one hand and said angrily. The next moment, a red and blue aura appeared on Yi Hongchen's body and directly bounced Su Qingling out of the dining table. Smashing heavily in front of several dancing girls, it also frightened them. Sorry, Lord Su, I have a cleanliness addiction. Yi Hongchen looked at Su Qingling with some embarrassment. After all, it was the guest invited by someone, and he sprayed him a drink, and now he kicked him off again. Naturally, I was a little embarrassed. It's okay. Su Qingling stood up from the ground, with a far-fetched smile on his face. Then he waved his hand to the dancers behind him, indicating that they could go down. When Su Qingling sat on the dinner table again, Yi Hongchen asked, "Aren't you really picking flowers? How is it possible?" I tell you, it is absolutely impossible. How could I have a relationship with a group of female students? Su Qingling heard Yi Hongchen's somewhat puzzled voice and suddenly became anxious, for fear that Yi Hongchen would doubt him too. But when Yi Hongchen heard his words, he looked at him with a weird look. Su Qingling also discovered that there was a contradiction in what he just said and explained, "A bunch of ugly girls. How can I fall in love with them?" Yi Gengji, are you right? Yi Hongchen nodded slightly, listening to the increasingly sad music in his ears, suddenly pointed at the only girl left in the room. You can also go out. Remember to take the pipa. Although Yi Hongchen did not speak, Su Qingling also knew what he meant and said suddenly, "Yes." The girl stopped playing when she heard Su Qingling's words, and she picked up the white pipa and walked to the door. The white gauze that seemed to stand in front of her was like a decoration. What? As soon as she came to the door, the girl opened the door by herself before she opened it. She was slammed and fell to Hongchen. Chapter 0203. Disturbing my meal seeing this. Hongchen stretched out her hand slightly and immediately embraced the girl. The girl followed Hongchen's hand and sat directly on his lap. Oh, isn't this Su Qingling who wants to climb Gengji? Why? You still have the ability to book a private room on the 3rd floor in Zuixing building. The one who opened the door was a young man wearing a golden brocade, with long bangs, looking very evil, belonging to the category of children who are difficult to discipline at home. His name is Su Kaiming. He is the second son of the Su family patriarch, and he is seen at once in the Su family. Seeing the boy, Su Qingling immediately reminded Hongchen. Is it warm in my arms? Hongchen ignored Su Qingling and asked instead, looking at the girl sitting on her lap. Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. When the girl heard Hongchen's words, her body trembled and she hurriedly stood up. I said, Su Qingling, did you take this young master's words to your ears? Su Kaiming suddenly became angry when he saw that Su Qingling was not a bird. It just so happened that the girl holding the pipa had just walked over and hit the girl's stomach with a palm. The girl didn't even have time to scream and flew directly towards the dining table. If she is hit by her, I am afraid that this meal will not be able to be eaten. Hongchen had no choice but to stretch out his hand and touch the girl's back again. A strong momentum came, and it was immediately separated by Hongchen. Su Kaiming even used spiritual power, the spiritual power of the Qi Gang realm in the early innate period. Hongchen wiped a burst of red and blue spiritual power on his hand, and it spread into the girl's body, and the girl spouted a mouthful of blood. Su Kaiming, she was just a musician in a restaurant. What does it matter to her? Su Qingling's face became cold when she saw this, and she stood directly in front of Su Kaiming. Su Qingling, it's not just her that has something to do, but you also have something to do. Give you 1 minute to return this room, otherwise. Su Kaiming stretched out a finger, and Su Qingling didn't say anything. Although he didn't finish speaking, the several teenagers who suddenly stood up behind him had already expressed the consequences vividly. Although Su Kaiming is not as old as Su Qingling, he is taller than Su Qingling, about 1.75 meters tall. Su Qingling is only 1.65 meters. You can try. The folding fan in Su Qingling's hand opened, and a blue spiritual power emerged. Toast and not eat fine wine convince him. Upon seeing this, Su Kaiming said casually, and then slowly backed away a few steps. The 4 teenagers standing behind him suddenly walked out. All of them were in the same initial stage of innate air. Su Qingling, you're just an illegitimate child, so you dare to talk to Brother Ming like this? See how I teach you. The boy in the green robe said a word and hit Su Qingling's face with a punch. Su Qingling's reaction was not slow, and the folding fan in his hand was raised and blocked in front of him. After the fist of the green robe hit the folding fan, he couldn't advance or retreat. The next moment, Su Qingling kicked out quickly and landed heavily on the young man in the green robe. Bang! The boy slammed directly on the door panel, rolled his eyes, and fainted. Let's go together. What are you doing in a daze? Su Kaiming's face suddenly chilled when he saw this, and he shouted at the 3 teenagers in front of him. When the 3 teenagers heard the words, they immediately fought Su Qingling together, and Su Qingling actually fought with the 3 famous Qi Gang realm teenagers with a folding fan in his hand. Thank you, Mu Ziking said softly after feeling that she was much better. It's okay, you sit down, Hongchen said lightly, and involuntarily pressed Mu Ziking to the place where he was sitting. You disturbed my son's meal. Chapter 0204. What's wrong with being scared by Hongchen? You interrupted my son's meal. How should I compensate? The cost of life is still money or spiritual stone. Hongchen looked at Su Kaiming, who was watching the show, and asked faintly. The tone was very plain, as if to say another very ordinary thing. Su Qingling kicked a young man, and with his body, jumped to Hongchen's side. He stepped back again and let Hongchen stand in the first place, as if he was the person in charge of this matter. Young Master Yi, I'm really sorry. It's not easy to ask you to have a meal. Su Qingling's voice passed into Yi Hongchen's ears. Su Kaiming looked at Yi Hongchen, especially the silver face on his face, and suddenly let out a cold snort. Why? A guy who doesn't dare to show his true colors is threatening this young master? Su Qingling, where did you find this thug? After speaking, Su Kaiming looked at Su Qingling and asked, completely despising Yi Hongchen. At the next moment, a red and blue sword light appeared beside Su Kaiming. A sword mark appeared on the wooden board behind Su Kaiming, and the wooden board suddenly fell off. Su Kaiming slumped directly on the ground in fright, staring at Yi Hongchen in fear. Through this, there were 2 cracks in the brocade on his body, which happened to cross before him. A breath of death surrounds him, and Yi Hongchen is still incomparably plain. Repay your life, or use money. Yi Hongchen suddenly appeared in front of Su Kaiming for some unknown time, looking at him condescendingly. Brother Ming. It's okay, Brother Ming. Stay away from Brother Ming. After hearing Yi Hongchen's words coming from behind, the 3 teenagers standing by Su Kaiming turned their heads and hurried over when they saw Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen's left hand suddenly lit up with a red and blue light, and when the 3 of them approached, he suddenly turned around. Dragon Fist. Boom, boom, boom. A burst of red and blue light lit up, and the 3 teenagers suddenly flew out, slamming heavily on the place where the dancing girls had performed. Hold head high, hold head high, hold head high. The sound of 3 dragons chanted from their bodies, and their bodies suddenly exploded in the next moment. A burst of blood flies and splashes. None of the 3 people's bodies are intact. Su Qingling's eyes widened when he saw this, and he secretly said in his heart, "Is this Luluman so strong?" As for Su Kaiming and the teenager who was previously hit by a fan by Su Qingling, they almost fainted at this moment. A smell of urine appeared from Su Kaiming's crotch, and he was so frightened that he became restrained. Yi Hongchen's brows hidden under the silver face wrinkled, and he landed directly on Su Kaiming's chin. What? Su Kaiming flew out of the room directly and fell directly from the stairs to the first floor. There was blood flowing in his mouth, and even a few white teeth appeared on the ground. Everyone who was having dinner on the first floor was shocked when they saw him. Well, isn't this Su Kaiming, the second son of the Su family? How could he be beaten like this? Dare to beat the second young master Su like this? That person is definitely a ruthless person. Unfortunately, no one has ever witnessed hitting him. You are not leaving yet. Do you want me to send you? Yi Hongchen said coldly, looking at the last teenager who was paralyzed in the middle. After speaking, he moved his feet, as if he was about to move his feet to send him a ride. The boy was taken aback when he thought of Su Kaiming's appearance just now. He stood up timidly and hurriedly stumbled toward the door. Hey, where do you go? Eat this great god. Xiaoqing, who had long been waiting for the opportunity, saw the boy running to the door, kicking his feet on the dinner table, and his whole body quickly rushed towards the boy. A kick hit the young man's forehead fiercely. Chapter 0205. Physique guessed Xiaoqing's speed was even faster than that of the young man, kicking directly on his forehead. Bang! What? The young man unfortunately followed in the footsteps of Su Kaiming and was kicked from the 3rd floor to the 1st floor by Xiaoqing. Su Kaiming just got up from the ground and directly saw a dark figure on the ground and couldn't help but raise his head. What? In the next second, 2 big white teeth flew out, but the people at the dinner party pointed at them. In modern times, it is estimated that they have been photographed in 360 degrees without blind spots. On the 3rd floor, Su Qingling's private room. Yi Hongchen and Su Qingling looked at Xiaoqing, who was standing at the door, and they were a little confused. Good guy, what is falling in the well? Su Qingling finally saw Yi Hongchen at this moment. It is estimated that if Mu Ziking could see it, she would be the same as the 2. Hey, have you gone? After Mu Ziking could not hear the noisy sound, she immediately stood up, and some of the no-no followed. Go, what's your name? Yi Hongchen nodded slightly and asked. Mu Ziking. Relying on her memory, Mu Ziking actually found the position by the door, said a word, and walked out immediately. Almost stepped on Xiaoqing, but fortunately, Xiaoqing was agile and avoided directly. Xiaoqing closed the door. Yi Hongchun ordered after Mu Ziking had left. Okay, ye great god. After Xiaoqing said very obediently, he closed the door again. Why? Yi Gengji has thoughts about the blind girl. Su Qingling's eyes wiped a gleam of light when Yi Hongchun asked Mu Ziking's name just now. I don't have any ideas. I'm just curious about her eyes. Is it really invisible or... Yi Hongchun shook his head, returned to the position again, and said lightly, it's the best if it doesn't, then Mu Ziking, but she is very famous in the Heavenly Cloud Nation. It is said that her physique is overpowering. Su Qingling sat back and poured himself a glass of wine. Oh, physique overthrows people? How to overpower people? Yi Hongchun asked in confusion. As long as you have a good relationship with her, or even have contact with her, luck is very unlucky. For example, on the road again, I was suddenly hit by a horse-drawn carriage, or a heavy object fell from a tall building and killed him, or even the lightning fell from the sky to kill him. Su Qingling indifferently explained to Yi Hongchun while drinking. Yi Hongchun shook his head slightly and said, if this is the case, why does this restaurant dare to take her in? Young Master Yi does not know that this drunken star building is her only safe place. Only here will she not be unlucky. I don't know why I can be in this restaurant. Su Qingling said, okay, you're a friend of mine. Yi Xingchen, just tell me what you want me to help you. Yi Hongchun arbitrarily grabbed the jug in Su Qingling's hand, poured it into the glass, and drank it all in one go. Haha, Brother Xingchen is refreshing. I just want you to help me once when I'm in danger. Su Qingling heard Yi Hongchun's words. His eyes lit up, and he finally waited for Yi Hongchun's words. Okay, hold this ruined paper and crush it when you're in danger. Yi Hongchun nodded, took out the light red rune paper from the Shura Lord of the Rings, and handed it to Su Qingling. He didn't even ask him what cultivation level the strongest of the Su family was. He grabbed Xiaoqing and disappeared in front of Su Qingling, leaving only the door open. Su Qingling looked at the red talisman in his hand, and a smile appeared on King Siu's face. Yi Xingchen, Yi Hongchun, really an interesting person. Chapter 0206. Reaching the stars and splitting the rudder. Yi Xingchen, Yi Hongchun is really an interesting person. Su Qingling put away the talisman and looked at the flow of people outside the window into silence, as if thinking about something. God Yi, I said you really promised that kid? If the elder of the Su family is a cultivator of the nascent soul stage, wouldn't you be finished? Yi Hongchun walked on the street. Xiaoqing stood on her shoulders and said, the Yuaning period is only as long as it is not the later stage. It should not kill me. Yi Hongchun said faintly. Hearing Yi Hongchun's words, Xiaoqing immediately gave a pair of thumbs up and said to Yi Hongchun, as expected of Yi Hongchun, he has confidence and strength. You don't have to deliberately praise me. I won't kill you easily. Yi Hongchun stopped when he heard the words and spoke lightly. Ziyaking's mouth curled slightly, and he didn't believe Yi Hongchun's words at all. Maybe this was suggesting that it wanted to praise him for compelling words. Yi Hongchun looked at the tall Guan in front of him, slowly took off the silver face on his face, replaced it with the black and red Shura demon face, and walked straight in. On the plaque, the two-character Xinglo was engraved. Hello, son, what do you want? Just as Yi Hongchun entered, a young man dressed up as a small second greeted him with a smile on his face. Take the order. Yi Hongchun looked at Xiao'er and said coldly. The next moment, 10 golden coins appeared in his hand and handed it directly to Xiao'er. Okay, my lord, please here. Xiao'er saw the 10 gold coins in his hand. His eyes curled up with a smile. Yi Hongchun followed Xiao'er across the front desk, where he was eating, and came to an extremely dark wall. Boom, boom, boom. Xiao'er repeatedly tapped on the wall 3 times, and the extremely flat wall turned slowly, and an extremely dark hole suddenly appeared in Yi Hongchun's eyes. Master, I wish you good luck. Xiao'er said with a smile at Yi Hongchun. After finishing speaking, he disappeared directly and quickly in this gloomy passage, as if there was something terrifying here. There is no cave here. Yi Hongchun muttered after looking around. Ye great God, what are you doing here? Shao King looked at the cave in front of him with some doubts. Yi Hongchen smiled faintly and said, "Killing." After finishing speaking, he walked directly into the cave, not intending to explain it to Shao King at all. After Yi Hongchen walked into the cave, the wall was closed again, and the outside scene remained the same as before, and outsiders would never notice it. The darkness in the cave was only within a range of 10 meters. After Yi Hongchen walked out of that range, an extremely empty scene suddenly appeared. And it's not that there are no people. On the contrary, there are a lot of people here with all kinds of clothes and colors, including men and women. The only thing that is uniform is that they all wear masks on their faces, with the most copper color and only a few silver ones. And here is the assassin organization in the world of repairers, the assassin organization that has made the major forces frightened. Of course, this is not the total rudder, but just a small branch, as can be seen from the number of people wearing silver masks. "Hello, are you new here?" While Yi Hongchen was observing, an exquisite and attractive purple Cheongsam woman greeted her. "Oh, why do you see it?" Yi Hongchen was somewhat puzzled when he heard this. "From the mask on your face, take someone wearing this kind of mask. Let's go. I will take you to register." The woman rolled her eyes, thinking that Yi Hongchen was entertaining her, but didn't think much about it. After all, she saw more of the situation. Chapter 0207. Silver Medal Mission. Yi Hongchen followed the woman to a small room with few people. Inside, there were several people wearing black masks sitting on their seats. "A new person has come to register. Help him register." The woman walked to a man and said. After speaking, he pointed to Yi Hongchen with a satisfied smile on his face. "Yo, Ling Long, you are leading newcomers too fast. Right? You make people a killer again so quickly." When the man saw this, the corners of his mouth twitched, his tone obviously a little unpleasant. "No way. I'm not like you. You can make money by sitting here and doing your hands, alas." Ling Long sighed slightly. The man nodded, but didn't say much. He looked at Yi Hongchen and asked, "What code name do you want to write in here?" After speaking, the man drew out a small book and pen from the drawer and pushed it in front of Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen didn't hesitate at all and directly wrote the code name he thought of. Shura. After registering, the man took out a copper-colored mask directly from behind and handed it to Yi Hongchen. "Add 3 gold coins to the fee." After putting it on, "You're the bronze-faced killer of our star-picking building. You can take up the D-level quests and change the silver face after completing 10 D-level quests." Although he said it was very light and handy, he didn't think Yi Hongchen could really reach the silver surface. He was just polite. Yi Hongchen took the copper face, and a red and blue light appeared in front of him, so that everyone could not see the movements of his face, and quickly replaced the copper face. After dropping 5 gold coins, he walked directly out of this small room with Ling Long. "There's a mission hall. Go, I won't bother you," Ling Long said, pointing to the place with the most people in front. After speaking, he continued to wait towards the place where Yi Hongchen had been before, as if she stayed there all day. According to what Ling Long said, Yi Hongchen came to the mission hall, where the scope was very large, so he came to the front desk easily. "Look at the wall by yourself for what level of task you want." Seeing Yi Hongchen coming, a man's tone was extremely cold. He didn't even lift his head or even glance at Yi Hongchen. The wall behind the man was covered with copper-colored tokens, and tiny fonts were also engraved on the tokens. "Assassinate the Yunjia Cloud Disk, the capital of Heavenly Cloud Nation. Cultivate the Blood Training Realm in the midterm acquired. Successfully rewarded 500 gold coins. D-level task. Assassinated the Tycoon of Tianyun Kingdom. Jinlei cultivated the key state in the later stage of the day after tomorrow, and successfully reward."
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.